They got hit harder than
Yeah.
down here, I guess, over here. The old-
Yeah.
So bad, pretty hard. What I try to do is that they could have seen off the
Yeah.
So can we say? Usually you get, you want to get highway. But again, 67, I guess, all of them. I can't help you, because I'm coming in from Walmart, so I didn't know. I was like, okay, I wish I was, because when I got.
Here,
Hey. I called them, locksmith, and one said, oh, I'm out of town, and the other one said, oh, people always. So I said, so I just had to break over, break. So you should crash it over again. Well, my wife had a key to our service. But
yeah.
they only unlocked the.
We got it.
We had all the one of them, and I'm thinking, oh, I can break the key,
Okay.
I did
that
every
request
class
from-
in the window back in the camp. Well, I forgot.
Is that here?
They don't, that's
Tower?
what they do.
Three towers?
Yeah, or otherwise, but I got problems.
Okay.
You know, you can't. Yeah, you can't break because they glue them on. I can find off. This one, I learned, let me learn. It is okay. It's that. I have no problem.
Like this.
My generator, I got a portable generator, I've had since we left the forest, but it's buried in the back of the garage, buried under tons of stuff. Oh, geez. Did you? Okay.
Thanks for having
Don Mason, I don't know if you know. Yeah. His generator stopped working. Oh, no, he's got a whole house generator. I didn't know if he's got a generator. Part of my house. Of course, he's had it for 20 years. I didn't remember. Beautiful, all that.
Yeah.
The dark. And then on top of it, I guess our side. Good to see you 2 hours earlier than. Yeah, Oh, okay. You too. Good to see you. Yeah.
Huh?
Sort through all your paper.
Yeah, I went through and kind of separated and stapled. So I'd be digging too much.
Who's that? Hi. How are you? Good, thank you. Is,
Thanks for that heads up on the scan. First, I thought your email was a scam. Hey, thanks for coming. Good to see you.
Of course.
How's the weather hit you?
Knock on wood, I was blessed. I had a house across the street.
Here's my
Had a big tree fall in the intersection.
You were so, you guys, we're all good. We're all good.
It's impressive how fast.
All of a sudden,
Everybody had a thousand stuff in there. It's like they got a Christmas present or something with their, yes, their chainsaws and stuff. And they had been-
For their trailers. Oh, I got all trees in my trailer. Wow.
People were just great, and our street is all great. And I can't stand that about that. They've always been that way. No, we're just asking. Where are we?
So it's not.
Other ones that.
Need to talk to Alex about tree. I just lost
I know.
John Saucer.
Hi, John.
Hey, question for you. I think there might be some fraud going on. Did you say?
Yeah, all right, I was gonna make an announcement at the top.
Okay, you're aware of that?
It's not me. You'll see that,
Yes. these
you'll
both
see the
seem
comments
fake,
isn't, these are fake. They're probably asking to send them money, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna make an announcement at the top, so we've been targeting people for the planning commission.
Is, like, 'cause how did they get my email? Is that on public information or no?
I think your email is included in the application that you filed with the village.
Right, but
And I
that
think
doesn't
they
go on
use-
public.
I think they used AI to scrape that. That's what I'm guessing.
Right. Is that a public, is that made publicly available?
I did, Tina, are the applicants' emails published when the applications are published? The applicant, so the entirety of the application is public record, and it is published.
Is that something we change in the future so this doesn't?
It is potentially something we could look into, we won't be able to change it tonight, but,
No, yeah.
but I
Yeah,
understand
but
the
like,
issue, and it's a good point, maybe,
cause then
um,
they wouldn't have my email and this wouldn't happen.
so, redacting, stuff like that.
Okay, well, I'm glad you guys are
Thank you
aware
for
of
bringing that
it.
to my attention.
Yeah, do you want either of these or?
If you wanted to, what I would recommend is if you can post it to your police department.
Sure.
So they- If we've already been in contact with the FBI, it's kind of their department, but I guess they got their hands full of their stuff right now.
I get it.
Okay, great. Nice to meet you, Mr. Saucer. Okay. We can ask him. He's gonna be here for this hour. He's definitely right now, he's gonna be back. Otherwise, Rob. Yeah, your house. We have to. Yeah. All right, it is 6:30 PM. I'd like to call to order the Plan Commission meeting of Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. Will the clerk give a roll call, please?
President Carabeo.
Present.
Trustee Wright.
Present.
Commissioner Peterson.
Present.
Commissioner Clemke.
Present.
Commissioner Gage. Present. Commissioner Robbins.
All right, we do have a quorum this evening. At this time, I invite everyone here to please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first action item this evening will be item 4, the approval of the Plan Commission meeting minutes of June 16th, 2026. Chair would look for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 16th, 2026.
I'll second it.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the minutes of June 16th. Are there any questions on the motion or corrections to the minutes? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries.
I'll abstain.
We have one abstention from Trustee Wright. All right, thank you. Now we'll move to item 5. The recommendation and possible action for conditional use permit. Applicant is Peggy Saucer and John Saucer. Tax key WA166900002. The street address of 6 Jewel Drive, Williams Bay, Wisconsin. Applicant is requesting conditional use permit to allow for the installation of a 7-foot tall privacy fence. I just ask our zoning administrator, Allison Shore, could you please just give a brief summary of the application and your report from it?
Absolutely. So the owner and applicant, they're requesting a conditional use permit per our ordinance requirement. They are seeking to construct a 7-foot tall privacy fence adjacent to the Beige Marine property. Their property is directly adjacent to that parcel. The fence would consist of 6 foot of privacy fencing and then 1 foot of lattice open fencing on the top of that. They are proposing the fence for more security and separation from the commercial property. The fence would connect to an existing 6-foot fence that was previously placed in the front of, I guess, the shore yard of the property. Our ordinance only allows this type of fencing via conditional use permit, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions you have.
All right. So this item does require a public hearing, which has been properly noticed. So at this time, I guess before I open the public hearing, I just want to state that this first hearing and the comments that we hear is going to be only for the first item that we're currently discussing, and that is the application for the 7-foot tall privacy fence brought by Peggy and John Saucer. So if you're here to speak on a different item on the agenda, please wait until that item is up, okay? So at this time, I will open the public hearing for item 5 on the agenda. If there's anyone here that wishes to speak on this fence, please come up, introduce yourself, and make your comment.
Good evening. Is this on? Can you hear me?
I think Tina's gonna come help you.
Hello. My name is John Saucer and I'm the applicant. Good evening. I just want to give you a little bit of information. We've got some neighbors here that maybe either are clear or just so everybody understands what we're trying to do. We have been neighbors with Beige Marine for 42 years. My family's been here, and they've been, a very good neighbor. And when the restaurant went in approximately 10 years ago, I think that changed the neighborhood for an awful lot of us. Mostly for the good, but some for the bad, and some is just having to get used to the new way that things work. I've worked with Gage for many years on, issues, minor, major, whatnot, and they've been a very good neighbor to work with. I think sometimes the fact of the matter is, when you have that many public people with a restaurant and bar that goes late into the hours, sometimes you have people that are coming in off the lake or out of the restaurant or out of the bar at many different hours. And then they go to their car, so they go into the neighborhood, and sometimes that causes disturbances for all of us. My understanding is that because we're next to commercial, we are allowed to put up to an 8-foot fence without requesting a variance, just so everybody understands that. We're allowed to have a fence. We are requesting to have it to be solid 6 foot, and then the top foot would be a lattice, mostly due to noise and light pollution and trash. The way they have their parking is basically all night long until about 1 a.m. we get blasted with headlights from people that turn on their car and go. Can't sit on my porch or in the bedroom or the family room without car headlights turning on in the stark darkness and blasting us. That is probably number one reason why we would like to have a solid fence. Number two is there's an awful lot of noise traffic. They've got a lot of trucks that come in there to service a restaurant. They have semis that come in there every single day, which I'm sure the neighbors recognize this. And that's just a fact of the matter of running a restaurant. And I think they do it to their best. But there's refrigerated trucks that come in there, and they are ungodly loud. They have oil pump out trucks for all their fryer oil and whatnot that takes to run a restaurant, and they are ungodly loud. And having a solid fence would really help mitigate some of that noise from coming at us. And then the other top issue is it's just trash. I mean, they have a valet system where they put tickets on cars, and they retrieve cars. And I constantly have valet tickets blowing in my yard, not to mention trash, cigarette butts, you name it. And then the other point for the fence is I constantly have cars parking and coming over on our property. It's a constant battle. And it's not Gage's fault. It's just the nature of having that many people coming and going with the restaurant. And we want to make it look, very nice. If I can share this is what it's going to look like. So it would be a white maintenance-free fence. The top would be an open lattice that would give it a much nicer, softer look and feel. And I guess that's about it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I can come back up.
Yep, you would be.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Saucer. Are there any other public comments at this time for this applicant for the fence at 6 Jewel Drive? Do you have a comment on this, sir? Mr. Marcico?
My name is Joseph Marcico. I live at 13 Lisbon Drive. I have no objection to the fence. Any privacy you can get, terrific. But my concern is that the village doesn't want to hear about my complaint because I'm in a subdivision. And they say that we have no jurisdiction over a subdivision. And every time I complain about my problem, you say it's not part of the it's a subdivision we want to get involved. I was wondering if the village would get involved with my complaint.
This public hearing is only in relation to the conditional use permit for
Okay,
6
I
Jewel
just-
Drive
okay,
and the 7-foot
Is
privacy
this
fence.
officer within the subdivision or?
No.
Are you the subdivision?
It's not in the subdivision now.
You're not, are you in any subdivision?
These homes are not.
These folks are not. Well, I just like to, I thought that he was in a subdivision and I was wondering why they didn't want to hear my complaint. But they'll hear another
If you have any comments pertaining to the 7-foot fence conditional use application at 6 Jewel Drive, that's what this hearing is for.
No, I don't.
Okay,
I have no objection to that.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Marsico. Are there any other public? Yes, please, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nabil Ali. I'm at 98 Conference Point, and I'm just adjacent to Mr. Saucer and Joe's property. I do have a couple of questions. My first question is that what is the village ordinance? Is it 6-foot fence and we're asking for a 7-foot fence? Is that what it is? And well, let's start with that.
Okay. As this barrier, our zoning administrator can chime in if I'm getting this incorrect. This barrier is between 2 zoning types, residential and commercial. So the fencing allows 8-foot height.
Okay.
So the height isn't in question. It's the opacity of the fence, specifically that it is a solid fence that you cannot see through.
Okay.
That aspect of what we call a privacy fence requires a conditional use, and that is the issue that is being decided this evening.
Okay.
The 7-foot height is already allowed per the zoning regulations.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
My next question is, there's 2 fences in question today, or a topic today. There's one fence that's on the north, on the east side of, closer to Gage Marine's building. Is that the topic that we're on now, or the other fence?
We're on the other fence.
We're on the other fence?
We're on the eastern fence.
On the eastern side, okay. So my question, Adam, my question is that on this side, so if you can kind of imagine, the parking lot swells a little bit. It starts low, goes a little higher, and then swells back down. Okay, it's not a flat parking lot. So will the fence start in the grass area, Mr. Saucer, or will it start on the concrete? Because right now, my concern is this here. I literally face the parking lot every day, and I've been there for 10 years, and I see what's going on. So if you guys can just picture the nose of any car, when you park in a parking spot, the nose of any vehicle, probably about a foot or so, will ease into the grass, right? And I see where he's coming from. It's shining in my yard, it's shining in his yard, I get it. If we put that fence up right there, it's gonna push the cars back probably a foot. And then there's 2 parking spots back to back from each other. So if one of the cars is facing Mr. Saucer's property and it's pushed a foot back and it tries to back out, hits the car behind them, we got more problems than we need. I want him to have some privacy. I understand that. I'm just trying to understand, is the fence, when you're looking at the fence, is it gonna be flat even? Is there gonna be a little bit of, because I gotta look at that for the next 50 years. You know what I mean? I want him to have his privacy fence. I understand that. But that land is just not flat right there. I have some pictures that I can show you guys, but I want to come to a amicable solution here for him to have his privacy. But I don't know, Mr. Saucer, will it be flat? Will it have some swells into when you look at it?
Well, this is what the fence is gonna look like. It's going to follow the property line.
Okay.
So whatever the elevation is, it will follow the elevation of the property line.
Is it gonna be on the concrete side or on the grass side? Do you know that?
It will be up to the property line, but my understanding is that is at the grass line.
So it's not the stakes, but the post will be in the grass side of it?
Right now, this happens to be the item talking about the eastern fence farther away from your property.
Oh,
So some of those are gonna be in asphalt, some are gonna be in grass. The fence up on item number 2 along your property,
okay,
some might be in the asphalt, but I'd be like the vast majority of those, I think the asphalt goes right to the property line. So most of those posts should end up being in the grass.
because, I mean, Gage's, the light poles currently are halfway in yours and halfway on the concrete, so I was just wondering where they're gonna sit. I'm trying to help the situation, but alleviate any further issues that will happen, so the posts are gonna be most likely in the grass side, is that what you're saying?
I believe that will be on the grass side.
On the grass side, okay. Is this like a voting system, or how does this work, Adam?
I can answer that question. So a conditional use application like this, it comes before the plan commission first, and we vote on a recommendation. So we could either vote recommending to approve or recommending to deny.
So when you say. we,
However,
the commission?
this commission up here,
Okay.
people you see up here, whichever we vote, then that recommendation goes forward to the village board, who also will vote on it based on the recommendation. So technically, if we recommend to deny at this level, that village board could override it. Typically, I haven't seen it done since I've been here. We take that, the village board typically takes that recommendation as is.
Okay, all right. I, that's pretty much it right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clear up there might be a little confusion. There are two separate fence items, but they are the same applicant and
Correct.
same owner of there are multiple parcels, so they did have to be separated into separate applications and separate public hearings even, so.
So my concern is more of the
It
eastern.
would be the second section.
Yeah, correct. Yes, so that's, okay.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments about this section of fence for the 6 Jewel Drive?
This is the east side, right? Closer to the lake?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Lynn Landgraf. I live at 111 Jewel Drive, and my family lives at 5 Lackey Drive at Oakwood Estates, which abuts the property nearest Mr. Saucer, and I'm familiar with Gage, of course. I just have a simple question. What does the ordinance allow for how close this privacy fence can get to the lake? Is there a setback requirement of what this fence can start at the lake? Sure.
Can I give you a point of information? This is only going to an existing fence already. This is not going to the lake. This
So
is
it's going to
gonna
join the fence you have currently that's there?
Correct, to Gage's current fence.
Okay.
So it's 100 feet away from the lake.
That's what I need to know. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Langer. Are there any other questions regarding the conditional use permit application for a 7-foot privacy fence at 6 Jewel Drive? All right. If not, we will close the public hearing for this item. And at this time, I'd ask any commissioners if they have any questions for zoning administrator or the applicant or comments, invite them to be shared.
I don't think I've got any comments, but I would like to hear the zoning administrator's opinion on this.
Did the zoning office have an opinion on the fence?
At this time, you will notice in my staff report, I did not recommend approval or denial of this conditional use permit request. This type of conditional use permit request is more of a policy decision for the plan commission to make. We don't have written standards set forth in our ordinance. It's quite subjective. Every conditional use permit stands on its own merit. And with this specific request, the plan commission at your discretion can determine if it's appropriate or not. Given that this is a mixed use area and this fence does abut commercial property, I do feel from a personal perspective that the request is warranted. And if you were asking me for my opinion, I would recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to all other requirements of our fence ordinance, ensuring that it's with 6 inches off the property line and all other fencing ordinance requirements for the village. But other than that, I would recommend approval.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? No?
When we get to that public hearing, you'll be able to.
Okay.
If you'd like to serve. The other commissioners have questions, comments?
No questions. I just have a comment that I'm normally I'm not a big fence person.
Okay.
As the former village president said,
Fences do not make good neighbors. And, but in this case, because it is adjoining a commercial property, I am in favor of this fence.
I will state, as kind of echoing what zoning administrator Schwartz said, that these conditional use permits are essentially case-by-case situations. And that's why we have a planning commission and the ordinance is written so that we could take all factors into it and make a informed decision. And with that, I would be agreeing with Commissioner Klumke's reasoning on that as well. The overall agreement that this should be approved. So with that, if there's no other discussion, I look for a motion. I'll make a recommendation, okay?
To recommend to the board for approval of conditional use permit for WA 1669-00002 for a 7-foot tall privacy fence.
Second, right?
We have a first and a second on the motion to recommend approval of the conditional use permit for tax BWA 166900002. Any further discussion on the motion? I will say that the administrator did recommend that it be conditional on compliance with all of the fencing ordinances, but I think that's baked in, and it has to be in compliance with all the fencing ordinances, so that would be sort of redundant part of the motion. All right, with that, I'll call a vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? All right, that motion does carry, and the conditional use approval recommendation is approved. All right, we will move on to item 6 now. Again, it's another recommendation and possible action for conditional use permit. The applicants are once again Peggy and John Saucer. Tax PWJ 00016, street address 14 Jewel Drive, Williams Bay. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow for the installation of a 7-foot tall privacy fence. Administrator Schwartz, is there anything you'd like to add to this about this application or your recommendations?
I will just add that the applicant is proposing the same type and style of fencing in this location. It would also connect to an existing 6-foot privacy fence. And this would be located on 14 Jewel. So it would be, you'll notice in my evaluation report, I put a little diagram in there. You'll see a bold yellow line. That's the proposed location of the fence along that property line that fully is parallel to the parking lot. Other than that, I have nothing further to add.
All right, thank you very much. All right, with that, we will open the public hearing for this applicant for the conditional use permit of a 7-foot tall privacy fence at 14 Jewel Drive. Mr. Saucer, is there anything additionally you want to add about this one in relation to, okay, you'll have a chance to talk. Public hearing is open, so anyone wanted to come up and share any comments or questions pertaining to just this item on the agenda, the conditional use permit pertaining to 14 Jewel Drive?
Once again, my name is Nabil. I'm at 98 Conference Point. And I will be looking at this fence for the rest of my life. I want Mr. Saucer, for the public to know that I want him to have his privacy. I'm pro-privacy. I'm good with that. My only concern, this is what I was talking to you guys about the cars. I probably took my tape measure out today and probably took 6 measurements of cars today. They hang over about a foot. Just the nose of the car hangs over on the concrete. Is there any way that we can come to a resolution of, instead of parking it or putting the post in the concrete and the cars get pushed back a foot, can we have it where Allison said that there's a 6-inch ordinance from the property line? Is there any way that we can do like a 1.5-foot ordinance off the property line, closer to the lake, closer to his house? So, I mean, at this point, I probably get, I got a 4-year-old at home. I probably get every weekend, I just put cones there, 7 cars a night just driving up my driveway. They are going to hit this fence, I'm sorry, Mr. Saucer, you're gonna have problems. They're gonna hit this fence, I would say probably 30, 40 times a summer. They're gonna be hitting this fence. I'd like to have his privacy. I'd like to see the fence pushed back a little bit further, if that's a possibility, just to avoid any, I mean, late nights, we're trying to go to sleep. I understand that, just like Mr. Saucer said, the trucks and people and whatnot, and now you got cars backing out, hitting other cars, then the police come, they got the lights on, and, you know, it's just gonna be more of an issue that I just wanna bring up. That's my only thing. I mean, I literally took out my measuring tape, put it next to it. There was one car that was 17 inches into the nose. And so my side, on the other side, I get people throwing food, cigarette butts, just like Mr. Saucer said, same thing. I mean, they're changing their kids on my lawn. It's just crazy. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But I'd like to see him get his privacy fence, just push it back a little bit so we just avoid these issues with cars hitting other cars. Is that parking spaces, there's 15 on each side. And it's already a narrow bowling alley right there. I just don't want to see to get a little bit narrow. I don't want to see that. It's just going to be a nuisance, I feel like. But I am pro privacy for Mr. Saucer. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Public hearing for the fence is at 4 p.m.
I'll try and be brief, but I just want to re-emphasize that, and I understand this may be a concern. Couple things. I'm confident that Gage Marine built that parking lot appropriately, that there's enough room for the parking on both sides and the proper drive, so I don't think that's really an issue. I think naturally what I found is when there aren't barriers, most people just tend to keep pulling their car tire up until the asphalt. So having a fence there, people will just stop a little bit closer, but those stalls are the appropriate length for parking. They were built properly. So ultimately, I don't think it's going to be an issue, as well as Gage does an excellent job, as challenging as it is. You know, on slower days, they don't have valet or they don't, control that lot as much as it needs to be, but on their busier days, they will control it with their valet. So I think that this is something that they do their best and do a good job of managing as best they can. The question here is solid fence or an open fence. That's really what we're asking for today. And again, having a solid fence is really critical. We've got a nice girl, April, who lives in that. And every single night they walk through the yard. And that's why we want a fence, but they turn those headlights on at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., or 1 a.m. And it's just blasting. And the way the elevation is, that parking lot is higher than her house by about 4 feet. So all those car headlights just blast right in her windows, as well as the trash and the noise. So we wouldn't ask for a solid fence if it wasn't that imperative. So thank you.
Mr. Saucer.
So I am the second homeowner of my property. I did not build that home. I inherited that home. And before I closed on the property, there was an issue that was brought up to me. There's about a 3-foot encroachment of that parking lot, of that asphalt onto my property. I've left that issue alone for the last 10 years because of my relationship with Mr. Gage. There's already an encroachment. So if I want to leave things alone. I'm trying to be a great neighbor here and play ball. I'm a team player. I want to do the right things. I just ask or recommend if we can just push that fence a little bit back. I'm good with that full privacy fence for Mr. Saucer. Just push it back a little bit towards the home, maybe another foot, maybe, I don't know, get 6 or 8 inches out of it. I think that'll just help alleviate the issues. Thank you.
There are no more comments pertaining to this issue. We'll close the public hearing at this time. And I'll open it up to any commissioners. If you have any clarifying questions or comments for our administrator, for the applicant, please. As I will just cover that we are voting on the privacy level of the fence and not the location of it. The location that's planned is already allowed by ordinance, correct? And I'm tending to think that the property next to you doesn't have a right to overhang onto your property. And that fence keeps them from overhanging onto your property, so I'm in favor of the location. And given the the way we ruled on the last thing, I think this kind of goes right with that one. So if there's no further discussion, Chair would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the board for approval, a conditional use permit for tax key WJ 00016 for a 7-foot tall privacy fence.
Second, right?
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the conditional use permit for tax PWJ 00016 to allow for the installation of a 7-foot tall privacy fence. Are there any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? All right, that motion does carry. All right, thank you for coming in today, Mr. Saucer. Make sure we'll have the right one next. The next item on the agenda is going to be item 7. This is the recommendation and possible action for conditional use permit. Applicant is Janelle Overgao. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong. Tax key WHV 00055, street address 47 Potawatomi Road, Williams Bay, Wisconsin. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow for the installation of a 6-foot tall privacy fence. So I'll start with you, Administrator Schwartz. Give a brief summary of your report.
Absolutely, thank you. This is a very similar request, where the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to install a 6-foot tall privacy fence. Per our ordinance in the zoning district, a 6-foot tall fence is allowed, but not with a privacy material. Therefore, the applicant is requesting this conditional use permit. The only difference with this request is that this is in a residential zoning district, and all of the surrounding properties and adjacent properties to this home is also zoned the same. They're all zoned residential. So with that being said, that's really all I have to add. They're proposing, you'll notice in the evaluation report, I did another diagram. They're proposing fencing on both sides, but not the rear yard.
Great, thank you, Administrator.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
No, I have a question. Is one of the properties on either side used for short-term rental or has been?
You know, that I'm not sure.
I think one of the properties on one side of the house at one time was used, I don't know if it still is, or was used as a part-time rental. So that might have something to play.
All right. Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just real quick, first we will open the public hearing at this time. And we'll allow the applicant to speak first, please.
Yes, hi, I'm Janelle Overgao. I bought my house in August and I love it. Other than the privacy, one side of the house is all cameras and lights. And that is my backyard and my back porch. So I mean, I guess the cameras to me are the biggest issue, but the lights are on until 11 o'clock at night, so you can't sit out there. I don't need a light. There's 3 bright lights, my whole backyard. But the cameras are the bigger deal. I honestly have never met them, the neighbors there, but the cameras are there 24/7 and the lights go back on at 4:30 in the morning. So, I mean, I just was doing both sides to balance my yard. Yeah, I would gladly do just that side. I'm not closing in the yard. I just honestly want privacy. That's all I got.
Thank you. Yes, sir, please.
I'm at 53, Potawatomi. So we've been there 15 years. We have 3 small dome lights, low, warm, that go on for safety. I have a Ring doorbell that is accessed on the side. I'm happy to take that down. The other
The other camera faces the street to protect our house. It's a second home. We have family that comes in. We're not there every day. I think that's sensible for keeping up. And I have landscapers that keep my property nice. So I think the fence would deter animals and a whole bunch of things that we have that are why we bought the place to begin with.
Public copy, please, sir.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Nolan. I live at 41 Potawatomi, which is adjacent to the property that's the fence question. Now, the applicant says the villager told her she could have a fence, but lacked research and misunderstanding. Shouldn't put a burden on the neighbors. She mentioned security, but she doesn't have a fence in the back. She made the statement that she wants both sides fenced for balance. What about my balance? Tom Nolan, I've been there 37 years, having bought a three-season, 400 square foot home in 1987, tore it down in 2011, built a home according to code with 10-foot setbacks. Not like the 4-foot setbacks on each side of her house. I mentioned that in the picture of that you have of it's way off base. I mean, you have her house on the lot line on my side and 10 feet on the other side, so that shouldn't really be a thing for comparison. The fences are uncommon in the neighborhood and disrupt the long-standing open view of the area. My house has a sunroom, which I call my happy place. I watch and take photos of deer, turkey, and other wildlife which move freely between the property. We even have a peacock hanging around. I have plenty of pictures to show you of these animals which will not be there if the fence is there. The fence will disrupt the natural pathways of the animals. That's my enjoyment, that's my life. I don't want to look out my bedroom window and instead of seeing deer or turkeys, I see a 6-foot fence 10 feet away. Okay, let's see, my patio looks at the 6-foot fence, which is out of character in the area. Under 3901-1207, a conditional use permit must be denied unless the applicant proves it will not create an undesirable impact on one, your white properties. The fence clearly harms view, access, and property values. 2, the environment. Wildlife will not be able to move freely throughout the area. 3, the community as a whole. The fence would alter the open neighborhood enjoyed by all for many, many years. I just want to continue to enjoy my home that I have for the past decades. Fence has caused and would cause me much stress and has and would have a negative impact on my mental health. I implore you to see what's happening and reject the variance request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Are there any comments for this item, the conditional use permit for a 6-foot privacy fence at
Can I just
47 Potawatomi
Can
Road?
I address one other thing? I've never done a short-term rental or anything with my house. So again, been in there 15 years, so I don't know what was done before, but I just want everybody to know it's a personal second home.
Sir, what was your full name? I just
Adam Hune with 53 Potawatomi.
You?
Adam Hune, H-U-H-N.
Thank you.
For the record, I haven't either. I'm Nolan, 41 Potawatomi.
And you're on either side?
Correct. Yeah.
Are there any other public comments for this item at this time?
I do have a question. So I'm asking for privacy to block up the lights and the camera, but I'm allowed to have a shadow box fence, right? So,
There are fences that you are allowed to have up to
Right.
6 foot tall. It just can't be a complete privacy fence. And that's the one you're applying for today.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, any of the fences, that are permitted under the zoning, as long as 6 feet, you wouldn't even need to come before us. So,
I have a question for,
let me just see if we have any more comments.
Sure.
Because we will be able to talk with the applicant after we. close the
Okay,
public
we can
hearing.
do that.
Are there any other public comments then? With that, we will close the public hearing for this item. And I will invite any commissioners to ask any questions or make any comments they have for our administrator or for the applicant. Commissioner Funky?
I was just wondering, I stopped by this afternoon and you weren't home and I didn't want to walk on your property without permission. So I saw the pictures that you sent, but you didn't send a picture of your back patio. And I was just wondering if there's something you can do with your patio to kind of block out your side without taking up the whole backyard.
Well, I mean, I wanted to put up a fence when I bought it. I mean, it's close. I'm not closing it in, I'm not blocking the passageway of animals, I was just being private. I wasn't closing the sides, the animals could still go through. The difference was, could I do shadow box or privacy? I wanted to do privacy to block out the lighting and the cameras without, yeah, that's really why I wanted privacy.
Like I
But
said,
I can have the shadow box.
I can break down the Ring doorbell.
Mr. Hoon, our
Alright,
public
I'm just
hearing
saying.
is closed at this time. Are there any other questions from commissioners? Yes, please, Mr. Gage.
Janelle, is there any solution other than a fence that you are comfortable with or would accept?
I mean, I can do trees, I guess, but I really wanted a fence. I mean, before I even bought the property, was my plan. Was to fence. I did ask, I didn't ask enough, but after living there and with the light, I understand you're saying you could take the camera out. I mean, I honestly live there by myself, so that's bothered me. And the lights you are saying that they're light, but they're really not. I mean, you just don't sit out and look at the stars on your patio when someone's 3 lights are on constantly.
There's 2 on the side and 1 on the other side of my house that's in the
But
front.
okay,
Just saying.
it is bright.
Was there, do you consider one fence on one side, not on the other?
Yes.
Okay, with that one side.
No.
I don't know that this is gonna go anywhere, but is there any way you can shadow the lights? So they go down, not,
They're round balls and they're like really warm, low lit, like things. They're not bright. They're not like spotlights or anything like that. So I mean, we got it with the intention of like mood lighting, we don't like bright lights. So,
I mean, okay.
I mean, feel free to run by.
I can do the trash.
If there are no more comments, Chair will look for a motion. If I'm not hearing a motion, Chair can make a motion.
I'll make it okay. I move that we deny the request for a conditional use permit for fence.
All right, we have a first on the motion to recommend denial of the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Clunky. There's a first and a second on the motion to deny the request for a conditional use permit for text PWHB 00055. Any further discussion or questions on the motion?
Excuse me, I'd just like to comment on the reason for my rationale for my motion.
Please.
I think there are alternatives that could be more aesthetically pleasing than a 6 foot tall solid white plastic fence. We don't have such fences very often in the village for a good reason, and I would like to maintain that reason. And I encourage the applicant to look for other alternatives. I mean, I wasn't real happy when a house got built on the vacant lot next to me. Did I build a fence? No, I spent a lot of money on landscaping that I'm going to wait for it to grow up and provide some degree of privacy. But I don't think a fence is the right option.
I also would just like to say, in general, when I support a conditional use, I have to know that it is very specific for very specific reasons. In other words, I need a hook to hang it on so that the next time you come before us with what is not a request that is that far out, but that does not allow justification for multiple following rulings. I don't know if I made myself clear, but I think that is a key to the way I look at some of these. And
Right.
I think that that's a reason here. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Any other comments or discussion on the motion? I will call the vote then. All in favor of the motion to deny the application of the conditional use permit, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? All right, that motion does carry, and the conditional use permit is recommended to deny the village board. All right. So I'm sorry I didn't go the way you want, but I think you're coming in today. So over now. All right. Did Doug come in? Is Doug Snyder here, our village engineer? Anyone see him come in? All right. We wanted him here to help answer questions for the next item, the TowerCom applicant. He's on his way here from another meeting. So without objection, Chair would like to move item 9 ahead in the agenda.
Hey, deny it.
All right, I'm not hearing any objection from the commissioners, so we're gonna take up item 9 here, recommendation and possible action for a 2-lot certified survey map. The applicant is Terrence W. Bolton, tax PWWUP 00062B, street address 38 South Walworth Avenue, Williams Bay. The applicant is requesting approval of a 2-lot certified survey map, CSM, located within the village of Williams Bay. So, would our zoning administrator please just give a brief summary of the application and any recommendation from her office?
Yes, absolutely. So the applicant is requesting a 2-lot certified survey map. The proposed CSM separates one existing vacant parcel into 2 separate parcels. Lot 1 consisting of approximately 16,832 square feet, and lot 2 consisting of 6,499 square feet. Based upon what I can see from the Walworth County GIS and what I know from this area, the existing vacant parcel has been serving as an access point to both 38 South Walworth Avenue and 32 South Walworth Avenue. Those homes behind this vacant parcel do not have any road frontage. And you can see based upon the image on my evaluation report, there's like a gravel drive that runs straight through the middle of this parcel. With that being said, the proposed lot split does comply with all of our ordinance requirements pertaining to land division, certified survey maps, and both of the new proposed parcels comply with the SF6 village residential requirements in terms of lot size, lot frontage, etc. So I am recommending approval of the proposed certified survey map, but with the condition that access easement agreements be drafted, reviewed, and recorded in conjunction with this certified survey map so that the homes behind it do not lose their access point.
Okay, thank you, Administrator Schwartz. Is the applicant here, or is there an applicant? Okay, great. If you'd like to give any kind of brief
Just a
statement, or
quick-
we might just have questions for you.
Sure.
You could just introduce yourself for the minutes.
Hi, I'm Terry Bolton, and with my sister and brother, we own this parcel and an adjacent contiguous small parcel that has a 2-bedroom house. Our family has had this property since 1967. Some of you folks who have been around that long might have known my aunt, Joe Leonard. 13 of us inherited this property, and brother and sister and I were attached to it, and we bought the other 10 out. So there are three remaining owners of the 2 parcels. 3 owners, 2 parcels, and for estate planning, we would like to have 3 parcels so that we can sometime in the future decide who's going to get what, who wants to keep the house, and who needs to get out of Dodge. The parcel is across the street from the Bayshore condominium, for people who really don't know where 38 South Walworth is.
It's been heavily treed. We have cleared dead trees. There were quite a few trees that were left standing that Joe valued her forest. She did not necessarily value the fact that some of the trees didn't even connect to the ground. So, and so the three of us, even though we're trying to divide this parcel, we've been committed to getting rid of the dead trees, maintaining our property. Just one other thing in relationship to the access to the parcels that are uphill from us. There's an existing 30-foot utility easement. And so we already have an easement, and we understand that we can't encroach on that easement. If a formal agreement is required, we have no problem in doing that, although I think that the state law obligates us to provide access under a proprietary easement. There's a continuation of the easement, of the utility easement, as it goes to the upper properties. So I'm not sure whether a separate access easement is required, but we have no problem doing it. So I would ask that that you consider my proposal, my brother, my sister, and approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bolton. This item doesn't have a public hearing, so I'd open up to any commissioners that have any questions for our applicant or for our zoning administrator at this time, or any comments they'd like to make on the application.
I just have a question. There's a stream on the one on the south side, right?
Well, currently there's a what we call a drainage ditch, and it traverses the property from the Summer Haven, our border on the south with Summer Haven.
Right.
And it crosses the easement, and then it exits into a street storm sewer system. So we're considering possibly relocating that at some point. Right now, what happens is that the storm drain goes from the street, heads to the south, and then runs along the Bay Shore east side of their property, and then exits into the lake at that point. So it's fed by a spring intermittently, and from the adjoining property owners' foundation drains. That's the source of the water.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners?
Alyssa, your recommendation, was to include a formal, statement of right of way for access for the back. And I think I agree with that, not because I don't think you'd honor it under it, but state law has changed, things happen. And it probably, while you're all here, it's best to settle it now for the peace of mind of those behind who may change hands also.
Right.
So I'm not sure how we phrase that.
We have a wording
Oh, I'm sorry.
in the packet. So whoever wants to, when we're at time to make the
Sorry.
motion, we'll be able to refer to that wording.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
I saw that, I forgot.
Anyone else? Commissioner, want to take a whack at the motion, or otherwise Chair can? All right, Chair will make a motion to to approve the 2-lot certified survey map on the condition that an access easement agreement be drafted, reviewed by village zoning administrator, and recorded in conjunction with the certified survey map. And this is for tax PWWUP 00062B.
I'll second it.
All right, so there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the 2-lot certified survey map as just read by the chair. Any further discussion or questions on the motion? All right, with that, I'll call the vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? All right, that motion does carry. Thank you for coming in today, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Doug, come in, Rob.
Not yet,
Is he on his way?
I texted him, he hasn't texted me back, and I called, he doesn't pick up the phone.
Okay. Maybe he's driving now? He's driving then, probably from the meeting?
I'm hoping he is, man.
All right, well, we do have one more short one that we'll try to get done then. Otherwise, then we have to do it, so. Without objection, I'd like to move to item 10 then. Recommendation, is there any objection from the commissioners? No. Take us out of order, thank you very much. All right, the applicant is Lakeland Community Church Incorporated, the owner, and the applicant is Richard Holt. Tax keys are FA 3956000001 and FA 3956000002. The street address is N3181 State Highway 67, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, 53147. The applicant is requesting approval of an affidavit of correction of certified survey map 3616 to allow for a second access to be constructed at the Lakeland Community Church. All right, with that, I would ask our zoning administrator to basically summarize the application and give any recommendations from our office.
Sure, absolutely. So the applicant is not requesting a certified survey map. They are simply requesting an affidavit of correction to a previously approved certified survey map that has a notation on it that does not currently allow access off of Highway 67. Lakeland Community Church is located in our ETP, our extraterritorial plating jurisdiction. So anything pertaining to plating needs a stamp of approval from the Village of Williams Bay. This request was reviewed by our village attorney, and although our ordinance does not specifically state that affidavits of correction are required to come before Plan Commission, he felt that procedurally it would be the right thing to do to bring it before Plan Commission before signing off on it. So that's what we're doing. It's kind of an unusual request. But the Lakeland Community Church has gone through all the steps and procedures to get this corrected. They've gone to the town of Delavan, they've gone to the county, and we are their last signature needed on this affidavit of correction. And they are going to be proposing a small section you'll see on the correction documents, a small section allowing access off of Highway 67 so that they can put in a second ingress egress point. And they are working with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation on that. So that's what they're looking for.
Excellent. Is there an applicant or representative of the applicant with us today? All right.
Thank you. Well summarized. My name is Richard Holt. I'm the executive pastor of Lakeland Community Church, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Great. All right. So with that, I would just invite the commissioners if they have any questions for Pastor Holt. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pastor Holt, or for our zoning administrator.
Where would this additional access point be in relation to your existing access point?
It would be south, so right across the street from the big white picket fence property right there. Just a couple, about maybe 150 yards south.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my understanding that WISDOT, Town of Delavan, Walworth County have all approved of this, and that we actually, or maybe almost only a formal approval, possibly, if we even said no, that we wouldn't even have any weight. So with that, I think they're extra dotting their I's here.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, is there any other further comments or questions from the commissioners? All right, Chair would look for a motion. All right, Chair makes a motion to recommend approval to the village board of the affidavit of correction of CSM 3616 to allow for a second access to be constructed at the Lakeland Community Church.
Second, right?
I'm gonna say I heard trustee Wright first. Sorry. All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to recommend approval of the village board of the affidavit of correction of the CSM. Any further questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, that motion carries. All right, with that, we will circle back to item 8. This is going to be the recommendation of possible action for a conditional use permit. The applicant is the Village of Williams Bay. The owner, the TowerCom VB LLC is the applicant. Tax key WHV 00060 and WHV 00061. The street address is the water tower parcels on Potawatomi Road in Williams Bay, Wisconsin. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit per section 390-0811 communication tower standards to develop and construct a 175-foot monopole communications tower and associated antenna, radio, and equipment enclosures. So first we'll start with our zoning administrator for a summary of the application and any pertinent conditions or recommendations from your office.
Sure, absolutely. And I know you wanted Doug to be present. Right in your packet tonight, right before my evaluation report is his engineering report, which I believe does touch on this application as well, just for some context. But the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit pertaining to communication towers. TowerCom VB LLC was awarded an RFP issued by the Village of Williams Bay, and they are proposing to lease a 5,400 square foot area of land next to our water tower to develop a telecommunications tower compound, along with associated access and utility easements on the parcels listed in your packet. The lease, within that lease area, the applicant is proposing to construct a 175-foot monopole communications tower. This structure will accommodate wireless carriers currently operating from the Village of Williams Bay water tower tank. The village has specifically requested that these carriers vacate from our water tower in this location. So this new tower will provide a suitable and long-term alternative for those carriers that we're asking to move off of our water tower. The proposed tower is being designed to support a minimum of 4 tenants, allowing for future co-location opportunities. In addition, the Village of Williams Bay will retain the right to install and operate any public service antennas on the tower that's needed or required by the village. So again, all communication towers that are newly proposed in the Village of Williams Bay require a conditional use permit. In reviewing the ordinance requirements for this telecommunications tower, I will just note that the current parcel of land is zoned PNR Parks and Recreation District, and telecommunication towers are conditional use in that zoning district. There are several items outlined in my staff report that go through the requirements of new construction for a telecommunications tower in the village. All of the documentation that our ordinance requires, you'll see in my evaluation report, has been provided, and I have deemed the application complete. I have reviewed the proposed application, and you can see that I go through each item, and I leave a bold statement in italics underneath each item. I'm not going to list each one individually for you, but a couple of things to note is that our ordinance requires a tower's minimum and maximum height, and our ordinance specifically states that a monopole should be 200 feet or more in height. So I noted in my review that the proposed tower is shorter than 200 feet. However, our village ordinance is contradictory with state statute. And it's my opinion that the minimum height of 200 feet shall not be required. And the ordinance shall be reviewed for consistency with compliance with the state requirements, because the state does not require a monopole to be 200 feet. So that's one thing to note about this application. The next thing that I wanted to note is that one of the things that they're proposing in this application is that their fencing will be installed, and that it will not exceed 6 feet in height. But they noted in their application that they will be placing barbed wire around that fencing. I have noted in my review that the barbed wire needs to be removed as it's not code compliant. Those are the two major things I think that stood out in my review. I'm happy to go over anything else or answer any questions. I cannot specifically answer engineering related questions, but I will state that Doug and I met on this proposed application when it came through. And he is in favor of it moving forward from an engineering perspective. He feels that it is needed. But any specific engineering questions, I'm not your person.
Right. So with that, this item does have a public hearing attached to it. So with that, I will open the public hearing. If you wish to speak on this item, please come up to the lectern. We will keep it civil. You obviously have the right to speak for up to 2 minutes. I will give you leeway unless you start being very repetitive or start to act uncivilly, then I will hold that 2 minutes to be very, very hard. So please, sir, introduce yourself and give your comments.
Bill Melzer, 704 McKinley Court, back up to the property in question here. We bought this property. There was no pole there. I knew there was a water tower there. I bought the property anyways, but there was no pole there, let alone a 200-foot pole or 175-foot pole, whatever it may be. My property happens to be, as near as I can tell, about 180 feet from. That's my house. It's 180 feet from. So if this thing snaps, which I know in the engineering report, they have a 75-foot radius, saying it'll only break in the middle. Well, I want to know how they can guarantee that, because that's impossible to guarantee. So if this thing snaps, it's going to crush one of about 6 houses.
Doug, if you'd
Should
like,
not
you
be
could
there.
share by Allison.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm really sorry, our engineer. Please go right back to it. I'm just directing him to sit
I
up.
couldn't tell you when looking past me.
Please go right back. Yeah, sorry, very sorry about that.
So it's gonna hit one of 6 houses, maybe 7. Again, none of us bought these homes with this tower being there, let alone the barbed wire fence and all the other things, let alone worrying about the radio frequencies coming off of there. There's a lot of concerns here, but my biggest concern is if that thing ever goes, because they can't guarantee that every bolt that's gonna hold it down has been x-rayed. They can't guarantee that thing's not gonna snap at the bottom, let alone, or in the middle. It's gonna take somebody's life, might take an entire family's life. It should be put somewhere, like where the radio tower is behind this building, where it's at least 300 feet or more to the nearest home. It shouldn't be put there.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I think I saw her stand up first. If you don't mind, sir, we'll get you next.
I'm Katie Servick, and I live at 708 McKinley Court in Williams Bay. I'm honored to have been born and raised in this small town, and I'm blessed to be able to raise 5 children here. My family and I have called this neighborhood in Cedar Point home for the past 10 years. We have 2 children and another child on the way. I respectfully ask that you deny the conditional use permit for the proposed Towercom telecommunications tower. As a mother, my greatest concern is for my children's safety. According to the plans, the proposed tower's engineered 50% fall zone extends onto our property. Our backyard is where our children play and should be a safe place for them to grow, not a part of an engineered fall zone of a telecommunications tower. Our family already lives with the existing water tower in our backyard. The proposed tower would be even closer to our property and would create an additional large structure that our children will see every day from their playset. I'm also concerned about the loss of the existing natural barrier between our home and this project. The plans show healthy, mature trees being removed to make room for additional cell equipment, structures, and fencing. Those trees currently provide privacy and screening, and removing them would only increase the visual impact of this project. My family supports reliable wireless service, but we believe there are better locations that do not place residential property within an engineered fall zone or significantly impact an established neighborhood. I respectfully ask for you to deny the conditional use permit. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorrell. Yes, sir.
Hi there, my name's Ray Demich. I live at 25 Potawatomi. My property is adjacent to this parcel on the north side, so I'm pretty close to it as well. My biggest concerns are with regard to radio frequencies. From the right up on page 52, it looks as if the existing carriers are going to be moved to the pole. So I'm looking for assurance that there will be no additional carriers placed on the water tower. The other concern I have is with regard to the minimum of 4 tenants. I'm looking for some sort of guarantee that we're limiting the amount of tenants, and this is not open and an open limit here because it is allowing for future co-location. So I am concerned about the amount of communications that's put on that tower and the potential negative impact, harmful effects from the radio frequencies. So I also am recommending to that.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Arlene Berninger, and I'm 712 McKinley Court. There's already a water tower there that you let the water out, and it goes into my property, and I have a swamp there. You eroded all my dirt from my property. I have a fence. Fences make good friends and neighbors. The fence has been repaired numerous times for your trees that you do not maintain on your property, and it breaks my fence, and I have to remove your trees. Now you want to put a tower there that's gonna fall on my house. My house is my property and my fence. There's no boundary line there. If I didn't have the fence, you wouldn't know where your property ends and where mine starts. I have to maintain your property. It's not my job to take care of your property for your trees falling on my property all the time. I have a daughter that I take care of that's a quadriplegic in my house. I don't want no 175-foot tower falling on my house because I will not be able to get her out of the house. And I have a fence around my house. And I have a fence around that, so I keep my animals inside the yard. And I have all the wildlife that you can imagine that jumps over the fence when they feel like they want to come in my yard. So nobody is, I can see everything, but I don't want to see all the junk that you have on my property because I have to maintain it. And it's not my job. Do you think, because I have a fence, that the trees on that side stop growing, that the weeds stop growing, that the bushes stop growing? No, they all grow over the fence. So you can't even see my fence if I don't maintain it. So, well, that's all I got to tell you. That's the end of my story.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Lack, L-A-C-K, and I reside in Lake Geneva. I was asked to come out here and speak tonight before you all. I'm a certified building biologist, electrical magnetic radiation specialist, and an environmental consultant. I have a business, Holistic Dwellings, LLC, and one of the things that I do, really one of the main things I do, is I go and I assess homes for EMS, electrical magnetic frequencies, radiation. That's one of the things that I do. That's pretty much my business is what I do. 75% of all my referrals come from doctors. And doctors are actually, more and more doctors, before even taking patients, will actually have them go get a certified EMRS specialist and have them survey their home. So that's kind of what I do. And so when I go in there, we look, and cell towers definitely have a problem. with RF radiation. I measure it all the time. And the Building Biology Institute, what they do, when you measure RF, so we're talking about RF radiation, radio frequency radiation. And the Building Biology Institute, what they say is they say that anything under 10 microwatts per meter square has a biological effect on your body. And I measure cell towers around homes, 25,000 microwatts per meter square. Incredible. So what I have to do is I've got to look at that. I always take it, before I go to a home, I actually go and I do a tower search and see what's there. And then I look and see the power densities that are actually coming off these cell towers. And they do a lot of health problems. They have a lot of health problems with RF radiation. And I'm not going to sit and I'm not a doctor, but what I want to do is I want to just put out a couple of websites to go to. The Physicians for Safety Technology, that's mdsafetech.org. There's emfscientist.org. There's the International Commission on the Biological Effects of Electrical Magnetic Fields, that's ICBE-EMF.org. There's the Safer EMR.com. And of course, the great big one that we all go to is the bioinitiative.org. The bioinitiative report, that's all been updated from 2014 to 2022. So I see a lot of effects. I go into homes, these people are sick, and I have to mitigate them. I have to shield them from these EMFs, from the EMFs. Now EMF, just so you know, EMF, what it consists of is radio frequencies, dirty electricity, electric fields, and of course magnetic fields. So the power density is different on different towers, the power density, and that's what I measure, the power density. And even if they're out in the country, they increase the power density is what they actually do. So I just want to end with this. It's in building biology. With building biology, we always go by the precautionary principles, and when we evaluate buildings. And the precautionary principle is a moral and political principle which states if an action or policy might cause severe or irreparable harm to the public or to the environment, in the absence of a scientific consensus that harm would not ensure, the burden of proof falls on those who would advocate taking the action. The principle implies that there is a responsibility to intervene and protect the public from exposure to harm where others suspected cause. So with that, if anyone has any questions, that's all I have to say.
Make sure you stay here after the meeting. My name is Jeff Fedar, longtime resident of Williams Bay, live on Cherry Street. The first question I have for the board, can you clarify to me why, all we heard from was the board today. We did not hear from TowerCom V8 LLC. Can you explain why we didn't hear from them?
I'm here to speak. Yeah.
You're gonna speak? Oh, okay. I think you should have done that first. Oh, that's right, you were late. Never mind.
No, that's actually incorrect. Our
No,
village engineer is
well,
coming
he
from
wasn't
another
called.
meeting.
You
Our
said.
village engineer was coming from another meeting. He's up here right now.
Gotcha, okay. So, yeah, I wish that would have been explained to people, because we were sitting here patiently, and we've seen with other processes where the board talked all night, and then the village didn't have time to talk. That's all I wanted to say initially, until I heard this gentleman speak. So my background is in high volt wound healing. I'm internationally known. I've written many books, conducted many studies 1 boards. The effects of electrical fields on biology is just, it's disgusting. So what this man has to say, I'm gonna meet with you, we'll talk about it, you can look me up. I have spoken to probably 200,000 doctors, nurses, therapists worldwide on the effects of these currents on wound healing. It's not a good idea to have this thing in the neighborhood. That's all I'm gonna say. I wish the board would really think this one out. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Carl Sorbeck, live at 708 McKinley Court in Williams Bay. My wife, who spoke earlier, and myself and my children all live in the neighborhood. We've called this home for the past 10 years. I'm here tonight to respectfully ask you to deny the conditional use permit for the proposed tower comm monopole. There are several concerns I could discuss regarding this proposal, but tonight I want to focus on one primary issue: the safety implications of the engineered 50% fall zone and the impact it has on my family, my property, and the neighboring properties. According to the plans, the proposed tower has an 89.6 foot engineered fall zone. The fall zone extends beyond the village-owned property, impacts 2 neighboring residential properties. I am one of those property owners, and my neighbor, who was at 712 McKinley Court, has an even larger portion of the fall zone extending onto their land. This raises an important question. Why is the tower being proposed in a location where an engineered fall zone impacts both private residential property and existing village infrastructure? The purpose of a fall zone is to identify the area that must be considered in an unlikely event of a tower collapse. If the proposed location requires that safety area to extend beyond the village-owned property and onto private residential property, that issue deserves serious consideration before any approval is granted. As a property owner affected by this proposal, I'm concerned about the impact that this creates on the private property rights. This proposed fall zone extends onto my property and also affects my neighbor's property. Neither my neighbor nor I have agreed to grant easement of any other property interest that would allow the tower's engineered fall zone to extend on private property. The commission should carefully consider whether this is an appropriate location when the proposed design relies on impacts extending beyond the property where the tower would be constructed. The village has already demonstrated that it knows how to responsibly locate telecommunications infrastructure. When the existing tower near Village Hall, PD, Public Works, Beauregard State, right behind this building, was constructed, it was intentionally located so that no homes were within 500 feet. That decision reflected thoughtful planning and consideration for surrounding residents. By comparison, the proposed tower before you tonight would place more than 36 homes within 500 feet of the structure. The significant difference highlights the importance of careful evaluating whether this is the most appropriate location for a telecommunications tower. This meeting also comes in the wake of the significant windstorm that affected our community. Not to mention, we have had a tornado, ice storm, and other high wind effects the last 5 years. Events like this remind us of the importance of carefully considering the location of critical infrastructure and the potential impacts of severe weather conditions. I respectfully ask the Planning Commission to deny the conditional use permit and require the village to pursue a location that does not place an engineered fall zone onto private residential property or create unnecessary impacts on the surrounding homeowners and village infrastructure. Thank you and for the time and consideration.
Hello, thank you for having us tonight. My name is Katie Wilcox and I live at 6 Potawatomi Road, directly across from the proposed site. I've been there for 7 years. We're very happy. We love it there. We love all the wildlife across the street. That was a big selling point for us for the house. I could live with the water tower there because we had so many animals and deer and a peacock and rabbits and a whole squad of turkeys live there. We see them all the time. We have names for them. They're wonderful. I had so many things to be prepared to speak to you. I was up very late, but I only have 3 minutes. So I'm going to first ask if all of you are familiar with this letter from Keith Tyndall, the Vice President, Telecom Engineering, which is a requirement that Telecom had to present, was a certified fall letter. And I wondered how familiar each of you who are voting tonight are with this letter and the wording. It basically says, it's a requirement to submit this certification. And basically it says it's passed everything with flying colors, and here are the facts. This monopole has been designed for an ultimate wind speed of 100 miles per hour with no ice. So I would like to remind everyone of our unpredictable and unprecedented weather patterns that have been crazy the last few years. And sadly and horribly, we are seeing firsthand right now in our emergency, folks are wonderfully addressing all the problems related with high wind speeds. Well, if that pole were there and the water tower went down, or any of the trees went down and affected that monopole, it would be on my head, in my bed, in my house. And that is just simply not acceptable. It's irresponsible to propose this, and I'm really, really disheartened that our village let it go this far. Sure, we're at the quiet end of this little street and we don't say much, but we are tax-paying citizens, just like everybody else. I don't see it being proposed in Cedar Point Park, because it wouldn't last a second being proposed there or any of the other beautiful lakefront properties. 107 miles an hour. We had wind speeds of 90 to 100 with the wind wall that was present this weekend. A risk category 2, are you all familiar with the risk categories? If you are not, and for the people in the room that might not be, the risk categories are 1, 2, or 3, and that's what a cell tower is rated. 1 is, shoot, I'm gonna get nervous. One is basically unlikely, and 1 is moderate risk, and 1 is very low risk, 2 is moderate risk, and 3 is substantial risk for problems. So this is rated a category 2, and I don't know, I'm not sleeping so well in category 2 of a moderate risk tower right above my head when I sleep. It also states in this letter from Telecom that this fall certification letter, that it is therefore highly unlikely that the monopole will fail structurally in a wind event. Well, highly unlikely and absolute positively 0% are two different things. I think when you all go to buy a car and you want to ask how the brakes are working on the car, they say, well, most likely it won't fail if you are going head on towards someone else or somebody you need to stop suddenly. So highly unlikely isn't good enough for me personally in a wind event. The point of most likely to fail would be in the monopole shaft, but most likely and definite are completely different things. I just don't understand why we're willing to take a risk like this. So not only that, but in an insurance, so my husband is in reinsurance. He's been working in reinsurance for 30 years. He understands risks and casualties, property casualty. He works with reinsurers and insurance companies. And for those of you that don't know what reinsurance is, reinsurers insure insurance companies. So he is very well versed in all of this. So today before the meeting, I said, hey, do you have any insurance insight for me that I can cite at this meeting tonight about cell towers? And his response, none of my clients touch them. That's how high risk they are. They can't even rent them. So I really just ask for all of you to stand up. I know the board initiated this. I do have a couple of questions. Not you, board, the village board. I do have a couple of questions for you. How many cell companies are currently operating on the water tower? Can someone tell me that?
It's 4.
It's 4.
It's 4.
Doesn't write a 4.
Well, it says 4 are proposed. That 4 are proposed at a minimum, which means they can increase that amount at any time.
All I know is from what I've read in here, it said 4.
4 are proposed. So do we know what
4
4 are operating?
You're asking how many are currently
How many
on
are
the
currently
water
operating
tower?
on the existing water tower?
Is there one,
One, right?
Alright,
So
one is
that's
the answer.
AT&T?
One is the
Because
answer.
I saw him in passing when he came to check on it on Saturday. So we're looking to increase that to 4 at a minimum. And then however many more can fit on there. We're also, that hasn't come up today, it's also proposed that a WISP or a wireless internet service provider structure is also going to be attached to this. And if someone in the room knows differently, please correct me, because I'm a novice and I really only started looking at this last night. A wireless internet service provider will also be attached to that pole. Now, I understand we have probably some needs in the community for increased provisions, for our services, and I understand that, but can we just please move this to somewhere else? And be responsible, please, because this isn't good. I guess my 3 minutes. But thank you very much.
Any comments?
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the board and staff and everyone here. My name is Sean Kelly. I'm sorry for my voice. I live at 623 Washington Parkway. I teach full-time at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in the Department of Planning and Landscape Architecture. I also have a private landscape architecture firm in Williamsburg. And one of the tricks, I just want to first off talk to the board and say, first to the people here, thank you very much for your comments and your engagement. It's wonderful to hear people speak from their heart. That's what you always want if you're part of the development team. So good for you to stand up. Some of the stuff that I'm going to say is stuff that I want to remind the board of. One of the things that oftentimes developers look at is they look at parks as a placeholder in zoning. It's going to be something that they can be co-opted for other uses. And I know this is a park designated zoning. Not that you're going to play soccer on this park, but I wanted to set the standard that you want to be very careful with that, because given the amount of development that's going to go on down Laurel Street and into the Williams Bay, when you start to look at the old Hanson property and Mrs. Hanson's property across the street, how there's going to be more and more people relinquishing any park space isn't enough of them, because those were never given to be given away. Those were planned for the better universe, the people in this place. In this one in particular, one of the things that I think is interesting is the loss of biodiversity that's being talked about by removing all that wildlife corridor from that property. Now, I understand it's a barrier to you and maintaining the property. I'm sorry the villages to take care of those trees. Maybe they should step up a little bit there, but there's a bigger benefit to the people in the neighborhood of having that wildlife corridor in place rather than a structure. As the population increases, it'll become more and more important. And I'm going to think back to one of my first jobs in planning was in King County. That's around Tucson, and the development was going on so fast that all forward planning was happening at the King County level. The city couldn't keep up with it. And so I remember one day the head planner looked at me. I was a grad student at the time. And he said, one of the things you always have to remember in any planning is that you always should consider the highest and best use of a piece of land. Because once it's developed, it's really tough to undevelop it and then try to do the right thing. So I encourage you to keep that in your sights as you think about future planning in this one in particular. Thank you very much.
Any other comments at this time?
I just asked one question. This tower has a rating of 2, moderate, is what somebody said. Anybody that's driven around our community lately has seen all the damage from the wind. So if this tower can take a 100-mile-an-hour wind, but these trees can't, how much of an area are you gonna clear out? And how much of an impact can this tower take when the tree falls on it? Just a question.
Any other questions or comments at this time?
Yeah, hi, I just got one more comment, actually two. The technology now that the telecom communications use is what is called MIMO, multiple input, multiple output technology. And when you look at a cell tower, what you're going to see is you're going to see a tower, and every 120 degrees, you're going to see it's an object, it's a rectangle object, and you'll see 3 of them 120 degrees, and then another 120 degrees, you'll see another 3, and another 123. But that technology is called MIMO technology, multiple input, multiple output technology. Each one of those objects, those rectangle objects, has actually 64 antennas in it.
So you may have just 4 companies or telecommunications, but you don't really realize the power that's actually coming off it. The other thing that I would just, I would like to highlight, just when you're out there and you're looking, one of the things when I go to houses, actually whenever I'm out, I'm always looking at the trees. And I'm always looking at a tree and I'm looking at what part of that tree is dead. Okay, sometimes you'll see branches, one side of a tree and branches. And if you look and if you go on, and you look at that and you go on like antenna search, or you look, what you're gonna see is that's the RF radiation that's killing that actual part of the tree. And so I see this quite a bit when I go into homes, because I always do an antenna search first. And so, and then just those links that I actually made a comment on those links, this stuff causes so much cell problems within our bodies, cancer, just so much, and it's all there. That's some medical literature right there. Those are the scientists that are talking about it. All we have, our whole motive of coming here is for the health reasons. We always got to look and say, if we're doing this, what health effect does it have on people? Thank you.
I have a question about the same thing. You have the electromagnetic rays going out. They're going past the borders of where that tower is and the properties that the city owns. Does the city?
Sir, if you wish to speak, could you come to the lectern and give your full name for the minutes?
Phil Schubert, 70 Cedar Point.
Sorry, just so that we have the minutes,
city-
so everyone can hear you and everyone online can hear you.
Does the city of Williams Bay have the right to violate the airspace of the people living near the tower? And what is the length of the airspace with the electromagnetic waves that are being pushed from that tower? I mean, if a pregnant woman is gonna be living near there, what kind of danger is that? If it can kill a tree, what's it gonna do to people, our own selves?
I'm not gonna concede that it kills trees. That's a statement that was made by someone that's not factual information. So I'm not gonna concede that it kills
The
trees.
rays do extend past the borders of the tower and past the property. And that's, I mean, countries fight over airspace. Well, citizens have a right to have some airspace also. And you're violating their airspace when you put this in such a close proximity to buildings and people are living.
I see that we have people that are coming up for a second time. So before we have people speaking for a second time, I'm not gonna close the public hearing. We are gonna pause it unless there's original comments from original people. And we'll give you a chance to speak, sir. I'm not closing the public hearing at this time. We are gonna try to move to some of the questions here. Again, I'm not closing the public hearing, so you'll be able to jump back in, sir, okay?
Okay.
Are there any original comments from original people right now? All right. So,
Yeah, I have only
again,
one.
sir, we're
Can I
gonna leave
introduce myself again?
we're gonna leave the public hearing open, but we're gonna talk amongst ourselves for a little bit.
I can't.
Address some of the
You said you were gonna
questions,
talk.
address some of the questions. and
My,
then
my
we'll-
comment is specifically something you just said.
All right, sir.
You said that what he's saying is not true. I can't speak to that, I'm not a
I didn't
scientist.
say it wasn't true. I wasn't
You did.
conceding. I said I was not gonna concede that it was true. No,
Either way,
that's
here's what I can tell
not
you
the
is
same
true.
thing.
I'm a roofer. My guys can't work within 100 feet of an RF antenna by OSHA standards. There's something wrong with that stuff. To have a family living 170 feet from it, 24 hours a day, that's a problem. And to just dismiss somebody is a little bit ridiculous.
Are there any other public comments at this time?
Hi, good evening. My name is Jessica Kurtz. I reside at 49 Stam Street. I'm a new resident and purchased this home because my family lives in the area and was very excited to be closer to family. I actually have no intention of speaking tonight. I'm just really inspired by everybody who's very, very, I think, brave and kind and very much thoughtful in their approach to this evening. As someone new to the area, this was not something I expected to encounter in the first year of residing here. And while I don't have children, I would like to consider the option in the future, and I want this place to remain a safe, healthy place for not only my generation, but the generations to come. I'd like to ask a question of the commissioners, if possible. Do any of you live within the fall zone?
The tower, no, not me.
No.
I live in the airspace. Planes could fall on my house anytime.
Yeah. I appreciate the consideration, but I'm just trying to gauge a little bit more so, because you're making a decision on behalf of all of us. And you're taking that ownership and that responsibility to do so. And I realize that's not something you took on lightly, right? Because you're making a decision on behalf of the betterment of all of us. And so if we're coming to the table with questions and concerns, I hope that those will be heard respectfully as well. And I think for the most part they have been. I would like to ask if our engineer and our zoning administrator, both of whom provided their reports, do you live within the fall zone? Thank you. So if you're making this decision on behalf of the people that don't live next door to you, I would like you to think of your next door neighbors, and I would like you to think of your children and grandchildren and maybe great-grandchildren who could be playing in the yard behind a monopole, and what that might be like if it were your home. Thank you.
My name is Ilana Darris. I live at 12 Potawatomi, literally right across the street. And as you were saying with the trees, the side of my evergreens that face the water tower are dead. That freaked me out. I mean, I've been here 40 years, and it's been a quiet, beautiful block. And the space, like everyone is saying, with the water tower, with the deer and the turkeys, and now just to have another pole, it was enough to have the tornado warning put there, then we had the whole box put there, then we had a driveway put there. 40 years ago when I bought it, it was all forest around the water tower. My family was growing, I didn't have a chance to come and try and fight what is there now. But to have more put there is just an insult to all of us on the block. And if you don't know what it feels like to just have something put right in your front door, it's literally in my front door. So please help us stop this. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other comments at this time?
I do.
All right, I believe.
I'm Linda Schubert. I live in 70 Cedar Point Drive. Linda Schubert, 70 Cedar Point Drive. I'm a cancer survivor. My good friend's a cancer survivor. It's well documented that people that live close to cell towers have a higher incidence of cancer and other autoimmune diseases. I don't want to get it again. And it spreads out further than just right underneath the tower. And I think it's wrong. And I want to say, why would you even consider taking a park and putting this in it? Where did that come from? How much are you getting? How much money are you getting? What is the village going to get? I mean, that's really important. It shouldn't be hidden. And that's public-owned property. And we have a right to say how it is used. Thank you very much.
All right, at this time, I will leave the public hearing open so that we can maintain a dialogue, but I will be addressing the commissioners. So I guess first I'll just turn it over to the commissioners. Any questions for the app? Well, actually, you know what? We haven't heard from the applicant, so I think the right order here was we'll have him talk. Again, I'm leaving the public hearing open, so there will be dialogue after we hear from the applicant. Please, sir.
Yep, my name is Vince Avin. I'm with GSS. I'm the agent for TowerCom. Yeah, this is a proposal brought to TowerCom based on the wireless carriers being asked to vacate the water towers. So this is a solution that was put in place. Currently, it is just planned for the one carrier, as there is only one carrier at the water tower right now. But at this time, we are just proposing to build the tower and put it up for future use of those carriers. And I know you commented on the barbed wire, that's not an issue to remove. That's the 3-strip strand at the top. That can definitely be removed. But I am open to any questions, comments, or anything that the board has tonight.
Sure. Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
No.
No, but I guess I have a question for the board members.
Yeah, please.
Because that's where this came from. And so what is the plan? We're taking the towers off the towers off the water towers?
I can
So
answer
what I
that.
will is I will direct this to our village engineer.
So that's the plan, is to get the antennas off of the water tower so that in 2029 or after, you can make the decision to either put a new water tower there or get rid of the water tower completely so that we don't have the antennas in the equation. That was the overall plan.
Doug, do you know what carrier, is it AT&T that's on on the water tower out there?
It is AT&T. I'm sorry if I didn't hear your
We
question.
heard it. Do you know if AT&T is on this tower up here?
I don't believe that they are. They are where they are because that's where they need to be. That's why they want that spot over there, is because that's what they need to provide their service to their residents. But when we designed, or when the newest tower was designed up on the hill on Theater Road, provisions were made for antenna carriers on that tower. None of the carriers want to be there because it doesn't work for them. We were lucky to be able to put it on village property here for the carriers. So the location to the carriers is more important than anything, because they need it to get their coverage.
I object to that statement.
Please do not recognize right now. You will have a chance to talk if you'd like. The open hearing is still open, but please, we have one person talk at a time. Thank you. Please, Doug.
But the plan is to be able to give the village the choice about the water tower, whether it's going to have a new one there or remove the existing one in 2029.
How high is the water tower?
I believe it's 135 feet.
Okay, if they were planning to remove, if they were planning to take down the water tower, is there a way to tentatively allow that one server, AT&T, by some other temporary means to operate and still remove the tower, and still remove the water tower and put up a new one?
Yes, the bottom line is yes, they can put another temporary pole on site so that we can choose to put a new tower up, but that may not be in your best interest because you may not want a water tower there after 2029. So if I was gonna have them repaint that water tower right now, they put another pole out there, take all the antennas off the water tower, put it on the pole, so that when we're done painting the water towers, the antennas go right back on the water tower.
Did I clear your question, Commissioner Funky?
And we're getting rid of water towers just because of their age.
Their age and the cost to repaint them.
Oh my gosh.
And we have a better water system that you've been developing in recent years with larger mains, better loops, and a new pump station as the plan.
This question isn't for you, Doug. Allison, I think this would be maybe you or Lowell. Is AT&T currently in a lease with the village on that tower?
Yeah, they are.
Through when?
I don't know that, but it's been renewed, and I don't know the end date on it.
Okay.
Any other questions, commissioners? All right, at this time, if anyone has any direct questions for our village engineer while he's here, I would invite someone, if they wanted to ask any direct questions to our village engineer.
I
at
have a
this time.
question, why can't you?
Sorry, ma'am, could you just come to the lectern and identify yourself for the minutes and for the people at home?
Melanie Davenport, 20 Bayview Road. If you're talking about the problem is with the water tower and you have to take the antennas down, if you're gonna build a pole anyway, leave it out there. Build the pole out there. Why are we talking about putting it in a neighborhood with pregnant women and children?
I didn't understand your question. Where is out there?
Wherever the water tower is, leave it where it is, take the water tower down and build the pole at that time.
That's where
We
this
don't-
slide is. It is this parcel.
Oh, it's there?
That is the
Right.
plan, ma'am. That is the plan.
We don't want, well, we don't want the poles though. I thought it was in the country. Well, we'll put it in the country.
All right, well, we have our village engineer here. Are there any other engineering questions for our village engineer from anyone? Like to have answers? Please, sir. Please.
Don't need to introduce myself again, do I?
I think I almost have it memorized. I wrote you down first, sir. Bill Elsner, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The planned fall radius has been established as 89 feet, which is about less than half of the size of the pole. Can you guarantee me as an engineer that it's not gonna snap at the bottom?
I'm not your insurance agent.
It's not the question. As an engineer, can you guarantee that it's not gonna snap at the bottom?
No.
And how can you put a pole in where it can fall and crush people in their sleep?
All right, well, we do still have the public hearing open. Are there any other final questions or comments from the public? Please, sir.
I'm Jeff Fedar, Cherry Street. I just want to talk to the board a little bit about civility, because you mentioned it, I'd like to mention it. Over the past couple of years, I feel, with the thousands of people I've spoken to in Williamsburg, that the board doesn't really listen to the people when the majority speaks with a certain tone, a certain aspect. Let me give you two examples. We gave Fontana money for their fire station, and now we're left with a piece of junk starting on our own downtown with that little square building for the fire department. And I don't think you guys, the ones that were on the board at the time, listened to people. They didn't want that to happen. And there was all sorts of reasons given. Then there was the whole thing with the spa. Many of you, I can look and see a couple of you guys were there, you were there, you were there, you were there. You had that meeting on December 9th, I believe, maybe it was the 7th. And you spent hours giving us presentations from engineers from the village, all the plans and so forth. And as that ran into the evening, a lot of people had to go home because they're young, they have families, they have to get their kids to bed and so forth. And then you finally took some comments and you reconvened for a whopping, I'm being a little sarcastic, 20 minutes, and then came out and said, yeah, we're going ahead with the plan for the spa. So I'm asking you guys to listen tonight to what people said. You didn't hear one person here say, yippee, new cell tower. It's just the opposite. You heard 100% of the people here talk about why they don't want the cell tower. So I'm asking you to finally listen to the people. You did it about the fire station, putting money to another facility. We could have put that fire station brand new out on Theater Road, where that park is. And we could have been taking that first $1 million and sunk it into a building. The second $1 million could have went into staff and so forth. You really didn't listen to people. And I'm getting the feeling that you guys already have your mind made up. Mrs. Gage, when you came out with the spa, you said people are gonna probably butcher me or something. but you went ahead with the spa, but you guys only reconvened for 20 minutes. And Lowell, right, I specifically said something to you in person about the fire department. You guys scoff at what the majority of people are saying. And I think you ought to sleep on that tonight, because you guys have done, the ones that have been involved, not every one of you, but you don't really listen to our hearts. This is a small village. We wanted to keep it small. And then the spa, if I'm not mistaken, came back and said, well, now that we got this approved, we want to do this and this and this and this. Now, you know, would you guys please listen to our hearts? Everybody here that spoke does not want the tower. Thank you for listening.
President Army, is it okay if I ask Allison a question?
Please.
Okay. And I know you don't deal with cell towers a lot, so sorry if I'm putting you on the spot. But would the fall zone require vehicles on private property, would it require legal permission from a resident?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Because according to everything that my research says, that if you are, you know, basically you're renting out your property, and my property, I'm not the one that's wanting to rent it out, but the fall zone falls over my property line. I think those are parameters for approval through either like a zoning permit or a fall zone easement. That's one thing that I would recommend the board look into.
I just have a question for the engineer. Do you know how many towers are already present in Williams Bay?
How many cell towers?
Yeah.
Well, there's one classified cell tower, but there's antennas on 2 water towers also.
Okay, that provides cellular service, is that right? Okay. There's a new structure I'm learning, I didn't know, a new cell tower right here, somewhere right around here, is that correct?
Up the hill, yeah.
How many providers are on that? Do you know?
I'm guessing there's 4, but I'm not for certain.
So how
And the
many,
county has something up there too,
how
right?
many, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, how many, providers, how many, households does a tower provide service for?
I don't know. That's not an engineering question. That
Okay.
would be a question for the applicant.
So the village
Do
is
you have an answer to that
proposing this
question?
though, right?
Approximate
Isn't the
answer?
village proposing this, initiating it? Oh, sorry.
So,
Oh, just seeing if I get an answer to that question
yeah,
from
so
the applicant.
we're proposing the tower itself. The actual engineering of the cell equipment is on each cell carrier that will go on the tower. So Verizon and AT&T, they would be the ones that would have the answer. Because they have specific results they're trying to gain by going on the tower.
The towers have to be at least a mile apart, so I think about a mile is about the distance that, or half mile, I guess, is the radius of those circles. Is
Okay.
the back of the envelope, yes.
So is the incentive, do we know, oh, well, I guess I have questions for the city too, but I guess we'll see if it goes that far. Okay, thanks so much.
Sure thing. Any further questions or comments at this time? All right, hearing none at this time, I will close the public hearing. And we will move to discussion among the commissioners. So I will just open it up for discussion. If there's any questions or comments from commissioners, statements, feelings.
Just my understanding is that we have only one carrier up there, and the reason we want to put up this, single tower is because in 3 years, we have to make a decision on closing, either repainting that water tower.
Yeah, either retaining or getting rid
Or
of it.
getting rid of it, and then that's when we have the problem.
Well, people that have AT&T and live out there are gonna have.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but we have to have something to get AT&T. We got-
Yeah, right, so, I don't know. Well, do you remember when this tower went in, they were talking about eminent domain, and they were trying to put it by the old school? I'm trying to remember back. And I can't
Yes,
remember.
they were trying to put it by the old school.
How were they pulling eminent domain though?
that they almost had got the shoe, but they didn't, we ended up putting it up here. And I know I'm asking you to go back, but I was trying to remember, that was one thing that I had written down that I remembered.
Isn't there critical county infrastructure on this town? I remember,
No, the county infrastructure, I believe, is on the Fontana one.
Got it. I don't remember an eminent domain
Yeah.
issue. I might, that might have been before.
Okay.
Like, that doesn't sound familiar. I would remember that.
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna speak for a minute. We've heard you, I've heard you. This, to me, to make a decision based on just safety alone, we could have picked a worse week, or even a couple of years with the damage this village has seen, with wind and storms. I think this is too high a risk and it doesn't make a lot of sense right now for one carrier. I know why, and I don't know if the audience does, but municipalities are trying to get rid of cell phone servers or whatever on water towers because they can't paint them. Because each different carrier has a different lease and nobody wants to take their antenna off to get it painted. So it created an issue, so they're building towers now. But that is not, to me, the same in this situation. First, I believe there truly is a safety issue. The fact that this can't be definitively defined as a no fall or no fail structure, to me, is a problem. Second, there's only one carrier on there right now. And to me, it's something that should be dealt with then. If we knew, I'd like to know when their lease is up, because that would help on what the village, what decisions the village is gonna have at that point in time, okay? And you're only dealing with one, you're not dealing with four different ones that have four different lease agreements. I don't know. I think you can see which way I'm gonna lead on this. To me, it's something that we either kick down the road or find a new place that has less residential occupancy within a certain radius of it.
I agree 100%.
Is there a fall zone associated with the water tower?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the water tower falls in the house, right? Or it can?
Right.
And there's already RF signals coming out of that lot from the
Correct.
water tower.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, we have one provider, not four. But, and then you said you have fall radius for the water tower. So now you're adding something to that. So now you have two possible structures that could damage property. And on top of that, the water tower has four, I think a lot. Would you say that the water tower would be less likely to fall than?
I won't say that. It appears to be, yes.
I thought we had more towers than water towers.
We do have Ottawatomie, Northwest, Collie, and Theater Road.
Right, so there's four
Water.
cell phone towers.
Right, but there's no antennas on Theater Road,
Okay.
and I don't
There
believe
was
there's
at
any,
one time, I thought.
I don't believe there's any on Collie.
Okay.
So all we have is AT&T on both of them?
No. We have, I don't know who's on the Northwest Tower. The last I heard was Sprint or somebody like that, but, so we have AT&T on Potawatomi, I believe it's Sprint on, Northwest. And the rest of them are on the carrier up here. I'm trying to get the carriers off of Northwest onto this, tower right here. So that we can make a decision on Northwest whether we want to paint it or take it down in the next few years.
So this isn't just one decision.
As in, I mean, I would, this decision has implications that affect other decisions?
Yes.
That's what you mean, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sure here no one wants to lose their cell phone service.
We don't need it that bad. I don't.
I'm just saying that, I'm not saying that we have to put it there to keep this. I'm saying it's gonna go somewhere. And so there's a lot of different things that have to work out. I don't think one decision tonight is gonna answer all our the questions coming up.
Right, they can take this tower and put it just outside the village limits.
That's right.
But you're recommending approval of it? Or your engineer's report recommended approval?
Well, I'm recommending approval of it because we're not adding anything. We're taking antennas off a water tower and putting it on the same site on another structure. That's why I like it.
Higher up with the opportunity to bring more in.
And on that same structure, we need it for our own control system for the water and wastewater systems because it's a taller structure so that we can get line of sight to all of our lift stations and water metering stations.
So would you consider it critical for water infrastructure then?
There's always a different way to do things.
Okay. Not critical.
This site was available, the village owns the site, it keeps a water or tower company from building something just outside the city limits where they can't have any control on it at that point in time. We had the site, you can make some money off of it, continue.
Hey, money! You paid taxes.
There you go.
I don't get the money.
No, somebody does that.
Keeps your property taxes where they are. Okay, thanks, Doug. Did you have anything?
I'm kind of frustrated with some of the comments. I mean, most of the people up here are volunteers. We are not the board. We are commissioners. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of us that are volunteers. No pay, no nothing. So I think a lot of you are getting us confused with the board and not, and that's all I'm asking. That's all I'm saying.
If I may, I don't think anybody thinks that of you. But to me, somebody over here has a vested interest in this. I don't know what his vested interest is.
Sir, you're not recognized, sir. The public hearing has been closed.
It wasn't you.
I guess I'll just state my conditions on this. The village board did initiate the RFP for this, on recommendation of the village engineer. So that we can plan out better future water infrastructure, cellular coverage, and otherwise critical infrastructure in the village. This land is already owned by the village, already has the cell infrastructure on it and a water tower, and it's the best natural location for it. I recognize that the fall zone language is scary, and I recognize that. That there's no 100% guarantee on anything. And like I said, a plane could fall and hit your house, and that's part of it. Much more likely is a tree in your yard will get blown and not get in your yard, in your bedroom while you're sleeping. That's the concern. So, I mean, if those are really the logical arguments that you're coming at us with, then your house, your properties wouldn't have any trees around them. You wouldn't have any cellular devices in your house. And if it's nature, then you wouldn't really even be living in a single family house because that's not the most effective use of the land. So I'm not hearing any like logical argument that's actually sticking.
Be quiet.
This item, if it does get recommended approval tonight, will go to the village board and there will be more opportunities to have comments and discussions on it. Very well might get denied tonight. So I guess that's what my statement is on this issue right now. Anything else from the commissioners? Any of you want to make a motion or leave it to me? Before we formulate any kind of motion, Administrator Schwartz, your condition was in regard to the barbed wire fence. What was the other condition? Was there one?
No other condition, other than that be corrected and the barbed wire be removed.
Oh, and I guess I listened, and I heard all of you, and I appreciate all the comments. The majority of the people in the room isn't how decisions are made. It's for what's best for the village itself, the majority of the residents of the village. So that's another statement I'll just make.
I only have one.
We are the village.
I have one.
Absolutely.
I have one question. That when we do take vote, we take,
Roll call? Absolutely.
And you're determined to take a vote on this here at the plan commission?
Well, I'm not
tonight?
determined, but we'll try to take a vote and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
I feel like the application is complete. We had the public hearing, so I don't see the table issue. Unless there's a motion to table and.
I don't see a reason to table it.
I wouldn't table it, but, okay.
Just make sure I got the wording here right.
Can I just add one additional? There are two stipulations in our ordinance that I've specified.
The 200-foot minimum height.
At the very bottom of my evaluation report, I forgot to mention that if the recommendation is of approval, our ordinance requires two things. Number one, that a performance bond in the amount of $20,000 to guarantee that the tower and antenna and apparatuses will be removed when no longer in operation. And the village will be named as obligee in the bond and must approve the bonding company. And number two, stipulation of submittal of a tower antenna and annual information review report. Those are ordinance requirements, so, along with the removal of the barbed wire fencing.
Right. Chair will make a motion to recommend approval to the village board of the conditional use permit for the communication tower standards. I'm sorry, I'm gonna repeat that. Chair will make a motion to recommend approval to the village board of a conditional use permit to develop and construct a 175-foot monopole communications tower and associated antenna, radio, and equipment enclosures on the conditions of 1, a performance bond in the amount of $20,000 to guarantee that the tower antenna and appurtenances will be removed when no longer in operation. The village will be named as obligee in the bond and must approve the bonding company. 2, the stipulation of submittal of a tower antenna annual information review report, hereafter report on a form provided by the village on or before January 31st of each year. The purpose of the report is to provide the village with accurate current information concerning the tower antenna owners and providers offering or providing wireless communication services within the village and information on the wireless communication tower facilities so operated or utilized so as to assist the village in administration and enforcement of this section and ensure village compliance with village, Walworth County, state, and federal standards and requirements. The report shall include all of the following: tower antenna owner and operator names, addresses, phone numbers, and relevant contact persons, proof of bond and proof of insurance, and number of co-location positions designated, occupied, or vacant in the village and evidence of compliance with this section. And finally, that the barbed wire section of the fence be removed from the application, from the permit. That's the motion with all the conditions. Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second on the motion?
No.
All right, we are hearing no motion, no second, so the motion fails. Is there a motion to deny?
I move that we deny the.
Is there a second on the motion to deny the conditional use application?
I'll second it.
There's a first and a second. There's a first and a second on the motion to recommend denial of the application. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. There was a request that a roll call be taken. So will the clerk give a roll call vote?
President Demian,
No.
Trustee Wright,
Aye.
Commissioner Blair,
Aye.
Commissioner Clemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Gage. Aye. Commissioner Robbins.
All right, that motion does carry, and the application is denied, or the recommendation is to deny. All right, that item is closed. Now we will be moving on to the final item on the agenda, which is going to be item 11. And that's going to be let everyone hear on a second here. The meeting is still going on. If you wish to have conversations, please have them outside. We do have one more applicant this evening. Yep. All right. We're going to take a 5-minute recess just so that we can get the IT set up and allow commissioners any bathroom breaks, and if anyone wants to clear out now, you're welcome to.
I agree. I'm just curious, most of the guy here wasn't even aware. Did they look at any of the sites for this? No. Yeah, because we need to, we're probably gonna remove the water tank. Existing intent needs to go. No, it was an obvious choice, but not enough alternatives. I'm just curious. Yeah. I know you did.
Oh, yeah.
So, I know what you're saying.
Probably,
I wasn't here before. I was in the audience. I wasn't here before. I don't know how you guys do it. What did you check? I wasn't here. Well, yeah, I don't know what you've seen. No, we have. I don't know how you guys do it. Even if it's warranted, so it's.
Same.
I give you guys credit.
Sometimes they have to teach first, and then.
Are you basically all set up? I'm gonna try. I guess, all right. We'll wait for Lowell to get back.
And I didn't have AT&T service this weekend. So there.
Yeah.
They have internet or phone.
But do you remember when you put up authorized this last tower and you showed the area?
Yeah.
And kids just.
Not quite to your point.
Right, right.
I haven't
And so I
seen
know the wind was good help. So, you know.
Yes.
I tried to send word.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll go over it later.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. We're just gonna wait for trustee Wright to get back and then we're gonna get started again. All right, folks? Thank you for your patience.
Sure felt good to stand up though.
All right, we are going to come back in order here. The next application before us this evening is going to be the recommendation and possible action for a zoning map amendment for a plan development overlay. The applicant is Bayside LLC, the owner, and the applicant is Anthony Navilio, tax key WOP 00053. The street address being 17 West Geneva Street, Williams Bay, Wisconsin. The applicant requests to add a plan development overlay for section 390-0709 Plan Development Overlay District and review of general development plan to develop a mixed-use structure for residential and commercial use. We'll try to keep the same structure we've been doing this evening. So first, I'll just kick it over to our zoning administrators to give a brief summary of the application and her report.
Yes, thank you very much. So the property located at 80 North Walworth Avenue and 17 West Geneva Street in Williams Bay is requesting a zoning map amendment to add a plan development overlay to the subject site, and then a review of the general development plan for this site. They are seeking leniency outside of our village center zoning district requirements. Therefore, they are seeking approval of the planned development. They are proposing a mixed use development here on the corner. You have seen a concept review of this plan. Mr. Napoleon has come forth before the Plan Commission previously. Our ordinance outlines several steps to a planned development overlay process and procedure. The first step is the pre-application conference, which has been completed. The second step is a concept plan review, which has been completed. And now we are at this step 3, which is the general development plan. So at this point in time, our ordinance outlines several items that we would like to see as part of this application and a part of this request to become a plan development. And those items have been reviewed in my report. And again, they're outlined. I have answered each in bold italics underneath all of the requirements. So you'll see that I went through those, and there are still a few things missing. For example, with number 3, the approximate residential densities and non-residential intensities as described by dwelling unit per acre, landscaping surface area ratio, and other appropriate measures of density and intensity. That requirement has not yet specifically been met. Specific residential densities and non-residential intensities are not provided. Item B of the general development plan narrative indicates this information will be provided with the final development plan. But unfortunately, that's not sufficient. The final development plan is step 4 of a planned development, which is the final phase of a planned development overlay. And our ordinance specifically outlines that that information is required as part of the general development plan. So I did note that was not fully met. And then number 9, a GDP map at a minimum scale of 1 inch of the proposed project showing at least the following information in sufficient detail to evaluate the project against the criteria for approval listed. And the location of recreational and open space areas, facilities, specifically indicating those areas that would be reserved or dedicated for public acquisition. That one is met, but I just want to note that they're not proposing any public space or anything like that as a part of this project. letter C of that is notations relating to written information provided. Specific areas on the DEP map, that requirement is partially met, however, more detail could be provided. The conceptual landscaping plan, noting approximate locations of foundation, street yard, paving, landscaping, and comparing the proposed landscaping plan to standard landscaping requirements in this chapter. That has all been met, and along with the other remaining items. So there are just a few minor things that I noted, that a little bit more detail could have been provided, or there was some lacking information. Reviewing this project, I've noted that their proposal has also been reviewed by the village engineer. Given that he's here tonight, I'll let him briefly touch on that in a moment here. But there are, in our ordinance, we have several requirements pertaining to the Village Center Overlay District, several architectural design standards, and all sorts of conditions that should be met. It was noted that the applicant is seeking leniency away from certain things within the Village Center zoning district, such as maximum height on structures. They're proposing a 47-foot height. They're also proposing a 0 lot line setback. And they're also proposing flexibility with mixed use, having more residential than commercial. But what they haven't touched on is our design overlay requirements for the Village Center Overlay District. And so I did note that some of those requirements are not being met. The underlying zoning district for this property is Village Center, and it's located within the Village Center design overlay. The design theme for the Village Center Design Overlay District shall be based on the village's historic pedestrian-oriented development pattern in Village Center, which incorporates a mixture of retail, service, residential, and institutional uses. Building orientation and character shall include minimal setbacks, 1, 2, and 3-story structures, and a mix of on-street and other off-street parking, and a focus on pedestrian scaled design. I do feel like the proposed applicant meets that requirement of the design overlay, but I noted a couple of things that are specifically called out in the design overlay that aren't currently provided in this plan, which could be addressed at a more final stage as well. But one of the requirements of our Village Design Center overlay is that bicycle parking shall be provided. And then one of the things that I also noted is there's a specific standard in the building design standards of this code section that states, in addition to adhering to the height requirements for the standard zoning district, no new or altered buildings shall be more than 1 story taller or shorter than the height of the immediately adjoining properties. This proposed project does not come close to meeting that requirement. And so I just wanted to point that out. They would need flexibility on that code provision, substantial flexibility on that code provision.
What page do you have?
That is located on my evaluation page. If you see this
Okay, that
diagram
one.
here,
Great, thank
it's
you.
located in bold below.
It'll be 316, page 316.
I was close.
All right, what did you consider the immediately adjoining property to be?
We've got the Frosty Moose. And then on the other adjoining side, we've got a residential home. And then if you count the adjacent property across the street, you have the Green Grocer, and then you have the brick building across the street as well. If you were to count those. One other thing that design ordinance requires is that facades facing a public street shall have a minimum of 40% brick coverage. Other acceptable materials include chiseled face concrete masonry, local and or recycled natural materials, or other complementary materials approved by the Plan Commission and Village Board. So I just pointed that out because I know that this board cares very much about the architectural design of the downtown district. And so careful consideration should be made on the overall design of the exterior of the building. And it should be determined this evening whether or not you feel like that facade facing the public street is meeting those requirements, or if again, we would need to request flexibility there. The ground floor of buildings with one or more stories shall be differentiated from upper floors by varying color, building materials, articulation, and other architectural details. So again, pay attention this evening to the architectural design that the applicant is proposing, because our ordinance does require that the ground floor be different than the rest of the building. First floor facades facing a public street shall have a minimum of 60% window coverage. In the case of double frontage lots between Elkhorn Road and Walworth Avenue, the first floor facade facing Elkhorn Road shall have a minimum of 60% window coverage, and first floor facade facing Walworth Avenue shall have a minimum of 50% window coverage. Upper story facades facing a public street shall have a minimum of 25% window coverage. In the case of double frontage lots between Elkhorn Road and Walworth Avenue, the upper story facades facing Elkhorn Road shall have a minimum of 25% window coverage, and the upper story facades facing Walworth Avenue shall have a minimum of 15% window coverage. Public entries shall be at grade with the front walkway and or public sidewalk. All public entryways shall be sheltered with an awning or shall be recessed into the building. These are design standards that are specifically called out in our village ordinance. So we should pay attention to those design standards and either ensure that the proposal meets these requirements, or again, that we are okay granting leniency on these requirements, given that it is a planned development and we can allow some flexibility if you desire. So those are some of the design standards that I pointed out. And the rest just goes over the future land use, which is designated as downtown mixed use. So that future land use is intended for the mix of pedestrian-oriented commercial, office, institutional, and upper story residential, which we spoke about during the conceptual review as well. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
Where's Elkhorn Road in relationship to this? Is that Geneva Street?
It's Highway.
Highway 67.
Yeah, she's just reading the standards for the center zoning district.
Oh, okay.
The rules are slightly different if you're on that strip that's between Elkhorn Road and Walworth Avenue.
So Geneva Street is Elkhorn Road? Is that what you're
So
saying?
67 is going up the hill, right?
Yes.
You're on
Faces
Walworth
like I'm saying it wrong.
Avenue.
You're on Walworth Avenue.
Yes, but I was trying to, what she was calling Elkhorn Road is, to me, is the one that goes from the firehouse up to Elkhorn.
Yes.
It is.
Well, but my property's not on
It
it.
doesn't, yeah, so
But
we,
you're just talking because
Okay.
that one, it's just one lane, so it has
Okay.
front and back, both on one piece of property.
all right. Sure.
Allison, if I'm reading my agenda correctly, we're being asked to approve a plan development overlay, a PDO tonight. And then we're also being asked to deal with a GPD, a general development plan.
Yeah, so the plan development overlay is all encompassing. There's 4 steps required within a plan development overlay. So the property owner, as part of this first phase, has to request basically a rezone to planned development overlay. And so that's why a public hearing notice is issued, because we treat a plan development overlay like a rezone, where we are actually amending our village map to show Mr. Novilio's property as a planned development overlay. Next in that step is the general development plan, which is where the plan commission reviews the project as a whole and goes over all the requirements of our.
I find that would be very difficult to do in one evening. And I would also note that this was presented on the 4th of July holiday. The fact that we all got through it once, but I just am amazed that we would try and do, I understand the first step, but to complete discussion on the second is considerable.
Well, and how can we complete a discussion if we don't have all the information that you requested in the first place?
Correct. There's still a few items that are outstanding, and you might want to hear from your village engineer, because I believe that there are engineering components that are still missing as well.
All right, before we get to the open hearing, I would like to hear Doug's report, the village engineer's report, since he is here.
The version of the concept, or the version of the plan I reviewed was actually in January. So if it differs today, I'm not aware of it. But at that point in time, what I was requesting, or my comments were, the reviewed plan lacks stormwater, on-site vehicle maneuvering, does not address possible soil contamination, and request retaining walls on the lot lines, which are typically all no-nos. I requested additional information. Their response was that should really be part of the final development plan. So if you choose to move this forward, I don't believe that what they have or what I saw will work for a general development plan, but my backup would be, don't be surprised if I recommend denial of the final development plan if you choose to move it forward.
Well, Doug, maybe you should have looked at the most recent drawings instead of relying on something from January.
Mr. Nobilio, you'll have your chance to speak when we're recognized.
Mary and Joseph.
Do any commissioners have any questions for Doug while he's up here? We'll be able to hear from him again later. Okay, thank you, Doug. All right,
And
yes, please, Mr. Nobilio.
I didn't want to speak here today, that's why I brought my architect.
You're welcome. to
First
have-
of all,
You're welcome.
if
to
a
have-
man doesn't look at the drawings that are submitted by my engineer, and then he comes up here,
All right, Mr. Nobilio, I'm gonna stop you right now. You're gonna need to calm yourself down, and this is gonna be in a civil matter, okay?
well, you know,
We're not gonna be attacking the staff members up here or anything.
he didn't look at the drawings.
You're welcome to state
He
that.
wasn't aware. Did you
You're welcome
submit
to
the
state
drawings
that.
to
We're
these
not
people?
fighting with staff this evening. Sir, you're welcome to make a statement, but I'm just
All right,
asking.
I'm gonna
you
make
to
a
keep it
statement.
civil.
Here's my engineer, Ryan Carlin. He submitted these things. He's only looked at stuff from January. So he's not up to date on what has even been submitted by my engineer. I was told by 3 board members that this process could be done on a contingency basis. We show our plan. You look at our plan. You say you don't like it, we change it. Just like we were doing. Now, and this is something that's done in municipalities all over the nation. It was a letter that I sent to you that said that. You are one of the people who said that we could do this on a contingency basis. There were 2 other ones.
To try it. I said, you're absolutely welcome
All
to try
right,
it.
you know, I don't even know why we're here. If she doesn't have, according to my people, we submitted everything she wanted and she said, move ahead. So I don't know why we're even here, but while we're here, I'd just like you to see my presentation was with the, my architect.
Can we hear from the engineer on what the differences are?
I didn't know there was a new
Well, I know
plan.
you did, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you
I mean,
didn't
we
get
can
it
go,
in the plan?
we can
She
provide copies
received
of the emails and I also won't get into that. I think the important thing this evening would be to get feedback on the leniencies it sounds like you're not wanting to move forward because your staff hasn't looked at the most recent things, which has been time, but that's fine. We are asking for leniencies on several of the ordinances. If you're not gonna vote, we at least would like the feedback, so that we know if we need to make a change on the plan. That would be important information to know for this next iteration that we provide. So I think it would be, if I could offer a suggestion, I think the right thing to do would be to let the architect show the presentation of the materials. That way you got a good look at what the visuals are gonna be, because visuals are important here, of what the final product looks like. I know height is an issue of concern. And so I think those things at least would be nice to have a discussion about this evening.
Sir, could you give your presentation then?
Sure. Can I do it from here? Is it okay? Because I have
It should be
to
fine.
advance the slides. Speak up.
Please, yes.
My name is Frank Kavanaugh. I'm a principal with Aria Group Architects in Oak Park, Illinois. And our client came to us with a concept plan that was developed by Tesca Associates, land planners, that we thought was a pretty intriguing idea. It got the density and the unit sizes that our client was looking for, and it did it in a way that we thought that was pretty contextual with the surrounding area. So our challenge was to take that rough concept plan and flush out the architecture, the floor-to-floor heights, the stair runs, the materiality of the building, the lighting of the building, and its sensitivity to the surrounding areas. These were all things that we basically embellished on the original plan that Tesca did. So what I'd like to do is just kind of briefly show, I know that the board is not that concerned with the floor plans, but I should kind of go through those because talk about the critical issues. Basically, Tesca's plan had two buildings in the front of the property that were lower, and then a townhome structure behind these buildings that afforded for the upper floors views over these structures towards the bay. And from a marketing standpoint, our client felt that that was a pretty important thing to have, is have the ability to have the living areas within this space, within these townhomes, have views over these buildings. And you'll see in the sections what motivated us to do the heights of the buildings to achieve that. So this plan basically shows along Wentworth and along the street here, the corner building, where we kind of beveled the corner to kind of smooth the transition around the corner, provided, which was in part of Tesca's plan, pedestrian stair that takes you down to an auto court here. Garage entrances with parking spaces, 3-car garages for the townhomes with additional guest parking in front of there. A drive aisle for backing out and getting out of the garages. And the front mixed-use buildings, basically mixed-use building here at the corner. And then a small mixed-use retail element down on this side, on this building here, all off the sidewalk level. All the entrances have been recessed off of the public way, as well as undercover. This dashed line indicates what you'll see in the renderings is the terrace that's above this lower level. So access from these buildings is on grade along street level. Access for this building, as you know, this road slopes up, and you'll see in the other plans, access for this building is through a covered loggia that accesses the townhomes from that side.
That's the Frosty Moose side.
Yeah, if you can go back real quick, just so I can ask a question.
Oh, sure.
So is the brick area that you guys have there, is that public space?
No. Which area?
Yeah.
The courtyard.
The courtyard. It's
It would
accessible.
be accessible to it, there's, because of the elevation difference, it has to be stairs, it can't be ADA accessible, but it would connect to the public sidewalk.
Okay, but you don't want the public walking through there and assuming like
I mean, it is gonna be commercial space, so.
On
they
the
could-
backside?
Well, I mean, somebody could walk
Well, if
around.
somebody wanted to come, yeah, come down the stairs, come around and get into
could.
these retail spaces from this side, it's certainly possible,
That would be
providing
possible.
sidewalk access for that.
It's not the probably intended purpose of it, it's more for the residents sides of it, but it's not gonna be something that is inconceivable of use. Yeah, it's not gonna be gated, it's not gonna be a security guard saying which building you go into.
Okay, thank you.
And so one of the things that we're also looking to do is utilize the retaining wall of this structure. Because right now it is, the grade is high up here, and it is holding back a substantial amount of earth on this side compared to the existing building that's here. So I think the intent is, as we study the structural engineering, reinforcing that and then continuing that around here to a point that's critical for the high point, because this slopes up, this property slopes up here. And then there's this stair access, which again, gives you access to the loggia up on the what we consider the on-grade level, which is one level up from this. I think the section shows it pretty clearly. Here you can see a long section through the building. We've done a few things here. For this kind of level of townhome, we thought it was really important to try to get at least 9-foot ceilings for these buildings, for these spaces. It's really a market-driven thing. And the other thing was actually to make sure that the way we oriented the floors, that the main living floor is actually flipped from what you can traditionally see. Traditionally, you see the main living floors on lower floors, bedroom levels up above. We're flipping that around because of the importance of getting these views out towards the bay. The other thing that we did was we looked at doing slope roofs on this structure so that we could keep this structure down as much as possible to allow us to get these views, especially off the third floor, out over this building as well. This section is the building right in front of this, and this is the section through the corner building. Similar heights. So I think, and then this shows the sloping grade. So the grade actually starts, sidewalk continues up. When you get to a midpoint, there'll be stairs that will take you, steps that take you down onto what we're calling the auto court. And then the grade continues up to take you to this space, which is a loggia, which has all the entrances into the units. And then each unit has a central stair core with the top floor having a winder stair, which takes you up to the roof deck. Now, what we thought was really important with the roof deck is to make sure that this doesn't get any higher, especially with a vestibule being seen from the street here. We pushed all of this back to the back of the building. So really the only portions of the building that go above a parapet at this height would be these little pop-up vestibules.
I'd like to go back, Frank.
Sure.
Put your finger on the loggia, where the loggia is. That's the level of the Frosty Moose.
Right here.
Yeah, that's the level that Frosty Moose, it's the exact same level. That parking is underneath that building.
Correct. So that most of the parapet next to this grade is going to be at this level. Only here, and you'll see in the renderings, it's only at these vestibules for the roof deck where we pop up to the 40 feet above grade, 40'9".
Excuse me, will you say that again?
Sure. This right now is at grade. This is right now the grade of Frosty Moose. It's up here at the top of the hill, or at the midpoint of the hill.
Right.
From this point, the entrance loggia to all of these units is about at that grade. The rest of the building extends up, I would say probably 75% or 80% of the building. The parapet runs at this elevation right here. In other words, this height. Only in this area where we have these vestibules, and you'll see in the renderings very clear, is where we pop up higher than this typical parapet height right here, off of the Frosty Moose Street.
I think maybe the help, it took me a little while to wrap my mind around some of that too, and I was working on it. The parking goes all the way to, we're gonna reuse that existing wall that's on that lot line. We're gonna do a structural analysis of it, make sure it's intact. And then it goes up from there. So that first floor, that's the living space, it has outdoor space against Frosty Moose. And then it goes back to covered again. So all of it's under roof that whole way, but there's open patio space against the Frosty Moose side. Does that help clarify that for you?
Yes.
You've got a nice 3D picture
Yes.
somewhere.
Yeah, I think
Coming up,
it'll
right?
make more sense, but
As we get to the renderings, and I'll go quicker here, just because the renderings do answer a lot of questions.
Allison, where do we measure building height from?
That's a very complicated question.
Well, obviously, we're looking for some variance here, so.
Yeah.
How
So
much?
there is a diagram in our ordinance right now. And you take the midpoint of grade on either side of the building and divide it by 2
Okay,
to get the height.
and the proposed structure is how many feet above that point?
This proposed structure, at this point, the total overall height is 47 feet, I believe.
that's from the lowest point.
Lowest.
From the Frosty Moose, it's 37 feet. Correct.
So we-
On that level of Frosty
We actually-
Moose, the building goes up, including the vestibule, is 37 feet.
But our ordinance specifies a particular point at which you take a measurement. Now,
Yes,
I was trying
yes,
to-
I'm just pointing that out because through the PDO, we're eliminating that ordinance.
Well, you're proposing to eliminate it.
Yes, well, under the PDO, it would be eliminated, correct?
Right. Okay. Yeah, well, we don't have that measurement on this document, but we can get that measurement.
And walk me through the proposed use of the front 2 buildings. Obviously, you have commercial on the first floor. What's in the second and third floor?
Residential, single unit residential, this living level and a bedroom level for both units. This building at the corner is much larger in square footage than this building, but they're similar. Retail and garage for the residential behind it, retail along the sidewalk, and then residential living space and bedroom space above that.
Okay, thank you.
This is just briefly, so here's the garage plan for the back townhome building, showing the 3 garages, utility areas, stairs, and also the option for an owner to actually put an elevator lift in here. It's not necessary, but certainly if it's for people that need a lift, we've provided a space for it if they so choose to install one.
Well, are you getting 3 cars in there?
Yes.
Oh, he's back home.
Okay, this is the, basically the entrance level. So this is when the sidewalk is up high, comes up here. There'll be a slight ramp to get us down to sidewalk level. The subtle ramp will come up here to a loggia, which is covered. We're proposing a kind of a louvered grilled screen so that you're not looking right over the ice cream place next door. And then various entrances into the units here, all entrances with, again, these center core stairs, which help you navigate the areas. And this has been planned, this level is planned because it's the lowest level, is more of a recreation room kind of environment. With, again, toilets and a small bedroom.
Yeah, Commissioner Gage, please.
Pardon me, can we go back to the garage parking?
Sure.
So that garage serves, each of those garages serves just 1 unit
Above it.
above it.
Exactly. These are party walls. These will be fire rated walls following code requirements for fire ratings between these spaces. And these spaces here, these 3 spaces, plus on the site plan, you saw 2 additional spaces here for visitor parking. would happen just right outside the garage door. And most of that space is actually covered by this overhang. And these spaces are, I believe we have 8-foot or 9-foot spaces by 18-foot spaces we've allotted for each car. So we're allotting for two 18-foot dimensions of depths for cars. And then we're dashing in, if they want to do a workroom, a storage area, they can do that. These are mechanical spaces. And then the other thing that we have here is we have sprinkler risers because we'll be sprinkling these buildings. So these are, on each building, you'll see a riser area, which is this little bump out.
So, okay, good. So to get 3 cars in, you want 1 car in. But
Right, one
a
step.
family would have to have 3 cars they're parking in the garage.
If, yeah, they have the ability to park 3 cars, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The second level, just real quickly, is the bedroom level. So you come up these stairs from the family area, and then this is the bedroom suite. Basically, primary bedroom, bathroom, big closets, bathroom, a multi-use bathroom, a laundry facility, again, the optional elevator, and 2 bathrooms in this back area. This is the kind of the critical level, and this is the family level, the main living level. So the idea is that you come up the stairs, there's a great room here, dining area here, full gourmet kitchen here, with a small powder room, and then stairs that take you up to this little vestibule on the roof to a roof deck. And there's also balconies off of this area as well. We have a rendering to give you a sense of what the views would be like out this balcony here. This is the roof deck, and as you can see, we've clustered the vestibules together so that when you come up the stair, it's kind of a clustered area that's pushed off to the back of the building. So we pushed all of this back this way. So once you get up this landing, there's an option of doing like a kind of a kitchenette. It could be another storage room. There's a lot of variety and a lot of flexibility for what we can do here. And then a substantial roof deck area that would be, would have deck boards covering the roof deck. And then basically these zones here, which would have the air conditioning condensers up on the roofs, put back again toward the back of the building. This is just the first floor. So it's showing the retail at the corner, showing the retail here in the other building, the garage spaces, mechanical. This is the sprinkler room for this building. And it doesn't show up here. Here's the sprinkler room for this building here. And again, these are coming off of that 24-foot wide, which is kind of a standard drive aisle, turning into these spaces here and these spaces here. And then these are the back entrances to the units from the back side. And then this is basically the living level, the first living floor for the front units. And that's basically the full kitchen. 1, 2 bedrooms down here, the den office, a recessed terrace here, living areas, dining space. Very similar arrangement here, just not as wide. Same thing, kitchen in the back, dining, living, terrace. The other thing you're going to notice in the massing is, taking Tesca's lead, we chose to actually step back these facades along the street because we wanted to make sure that from the street level, the scale of the residential buildings doesn't change that much from the residential and the commercial on this side. And this just gives an idea of what that would look like. So you can see what we've done is we've kept the retail down low, up in front, all glass storefronts, step back a terrace here, and then step back a terrace here. For this building, the same thing here. Slope roofs to kind of soften everything. And then the back townhome area rises above that, where this is the living area. And here you can see these pop-up vestibules pushed all the way to the back of the building.
It's George Black's house right next to this. Just to orientate.
So really from a height standpoint, I don't have the exact height of this building, but from inspecting photos and doing a visual inspection, we're about that height of that building there. To some of the high points, I don't know exactly how different it is.
How much taller is the back building than that one?
How much taller is this from that?
Yes.
Let's see, back to the section. So it's gonna be from this parapet point, it's about, I'm gonna say, about 8 feet. Or 9 feet from this point here. It's about 9 feet from here to here. Right, and then this would be addition, exactly. Again, that's pushed off in the back. This gives you a view from the street level. Again, I think what it shows is that the scale of these buildings with the setbacks feels comfortable along the street. The other thing that we thought was important to see in some of the night views is how we do lighting. We're very sensitive about not heavy flood lighting, ambiance lighting, lighting that's safe, but also lighting that looks good. So you'll see we're doing a variety of things with wall sconces, front illuminated signage with goose deck fixtures. Again, no internally illuminated. Access point here on this side of the site for some stairs or to go back in the car port area in the back. And then the other thing that you'll see is also wrapping organics, trees, and landscaping to actually penetrate the carport area so that we have a lot of things happening to soften the impact of the building.
And notice per Allison's comment about the difference in material and colors between the commercial and the residential.
Yeah, your print might show colors better. This is a little bit washed out. But the idea here is that we'd be doing like a ledge stone with a limestone cap and limestone lintels at the ground level. And that datum kind of wraps around the entire development. And then on this point, from this point up, we chose a wood shake, mainly because of the softness of it. We certainly have other options. Certainly, we could try to tie it in with some chip lap siding or lap siding. But we felt that given the fact that we have a very strong masonry building here, and that we have lap siding buildings, single residential here, that a nice soft approach to this corner would be stained shakes and limestone. This is the view from the front. Again, I think you get an idea of how we place a lot of value on getting landscaping to kind of penetrate the space as well.
How many parking spaces in that rendering are eliminated based on that from what we've got today?
Along the street?
Yes. On the west side of the street.
On this side?
Yep.
I would say maybe two.
Two are eliminated?
Yeah.
It should be where the driveway is, isn't it? You're not gonna have.
Oh, there's a driveway there
You're
now.
not gonna have to bump out.
Yeah, but here's
True.
more.
Yeah, there's a driveway that's
Right,
long,
right.
that's just as wide as that. Those little
Right.
bump outs,
I
they
thought
could
it
be
was that.
eliminated, but they make it
Yeah, I'm
uglier.
I agree that they look nicer, but with how that road is now, it's not much room.
Yeah, this, I think there's probably, if this is the corner of the site, I think there's a parking space here, and then there's a parking space here, so we've taken out that one space. But then there's another opportunity to do it here. Which I don't believe there's any parking at that point. Again, this is a little washed out, but you can see, I think probably in your handout, you probably see better the lighting. The intent here is to do landscape lighting down low, do sconces, keep it kind of low key, but make sure that it's safe and have the required lighting levels that we need. View from the corner. Again, you can get a good idea of the scale of this building, of these buildings, in relationship to the residential. And then you can get a sense of the building over in the distance, the townhome building. A little bit more from the corner. Closer enough, showing the retail, a lot of storefront. Frontlit signage, like I mentioned, soft materials.
How many entrances are there to the larger commercial space?
There's 2 entrances in this building. I'm sorry, I should say that there's actually 4 entrances. There's one off the side sidewalk here, the entry sidewalk, one here, corner entry, and then there's more of a utilitarian entry door.
Conceivably 3 retail tenants.
Yes, 3 retail,
In that
2 here,
corner
1
building.
there. That's correct. This shows along the street, the side. Again, we're softening things by putting in some pergolas, making some nice gateway entry points. This is the access point from the sidewalk down the steps into the auto court area. Looking at the actual auto court area itself, we haven't done all of the studies yet, but we do anticipate there would need to be some type of barrier between the higher grade as it comes up for the residential area and the auto court area. So we're just kind of suggesting a fairly open architectural fence to run along here up to the 42-inch high requirement above grade. But again, this is what, if we get to the civil engineering level of it, these grades will get worked out. This fence might be a little bit shallower. It's just right now it's more of a placeholder. And then here you can see the spaces for the parking in front of the garages are covered. This is the deck that runs the whole thing, and then the balconies that are shared for the upper floors. And then looking at the stair. Pretty much same information, just another viewpoint to kind of understand scale. And this is kind of an interesting view because it gives an idea for us to move in comparison. So here what we've done is we've actually, to soften views, right now I think it's trash areas and everything off here. So this loggia is going to have like a kind of a louvered kind of look to it, so that when you're walking back and forth here, you're not looking right on top of things. And when people are parked here, they're not looking right into the residential areas. And here you can see these little bustles, these little bump out areas for the sprinkler room for this structure here. And then what you can see is here's the vestibules popping up. A lot of natural light, and that's the other key to this, which we'll show you briefly interior views. But the idea here was as much natural light as we could. Again, a view from more of a bird's eye view. Again, showing, we even had the opportunity to do landscaping within the auto court with small ornamental trees, but actually do some nice shade trees right down the center of the approach for the cars. And then the decks and the sloped roofs. And then here you can see a little bit better what these little vestibules popping up in the back would do and how we look at separating out these roof decks. Even those step down. So again, we're trying to keep everything down as much as possible, but still achieve the floor-to-floor structural height we need, plus the inside 9-foot ceiling heights. And then this shows the loggia. Basically, here's the Frosty Moose. You can see it as you're walking down here, but each one of the townhome units will have their own entrance through this covered loggia. And the rest of this is just don't know if this is in your packet, I won't spend a lot of time on it, but the idea is here, this is a particular unit, this is a top unit, living space, a corner unit, to give you an idea of the level of quality that our client is looking to put into this building. We've basically been told it has to be really nice. So we've even kind of to give a concept of what the interior spaces can look like. These images can give you that sense. This is actually looking out towards, this is actually looking out towards the bay, this orientation from inside the kitchen space. Looking back towards the kitchen, living space, kitchen areas. And now these are interesting because these give you an idea from the living level balconies, what we anticipate is approximately the views. So this is that balcony railing for the family room level. So we do anticipate being able to see the bay from this level here. And
Yes,
certainly
the family room, not the family room.
The family room, yes. The roof definitely. It would be amazing views. But this gives you an idea from the family room level, looking back in this direction and looking straight towards the bay. And then just again, because of the sloped roofs, there's a lot of ceiling conditions. We wanted to give our client the comfort of knowing that you can really make some amazing spaces, and these would be the bathroom space for the townhome, levels. That's it. This is just kind of recap of square footage. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you very much.
I just have one final question. How much closer is the building to the road than the existing building that's there today to Walworth Avenue?
It's about the same, I think. It's about the same. There's.
Yeah, I don't have the existing site to refer to, but it is close.
Yeah, it's pretty about the same almost, I would say. And you know, the village, if I'm not mistaken, but the village central zoning requires no setback. So we could actually build to the sidewalk on Geneva Street.
Yeah, it looked like it was closer than what you have today, which I'm not opposed to, and especially if the zoning allows for it.
I think it is. I don't think
It is.
I don't think the Walworth part is up the sidewalk, right?
No, it's not.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah.
There is an interior parking lot there currently, and there's a little planting bed on the corner.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't extend all the way to the east currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be bringing it up to the sidewalk area.
If I may, we are getting a little late into the evening. So at this time, I do want to give the public an opportunity to speak, the ones people that have been speaking this whole time. So we'll open the public hearing. Anyone that wants to speak on this application, please come up and give your name, and your comment.
My name is Jack Jones. I live at 34 Elm Street. And I have backed up to the Bayshore Motel for about 15 years. Mr. Novilio, you've owned it, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay, so for many of those years, we had people living there that had feral cats, squirrels, and raccoons constantly going in and out of their residencies. Allison came and checked into it one time for me. And we also brought up the point that seems it was a commercial and I was residential, that a fence needed to be put up. You put up the crappiest fence in the world. It was 6 feet, it's probably 7 or 8 feet high. You put it up, it was second and third hand, and you left about a 3-foot level underneath for wind, leaves, and everything else to come through. You have not been a good neighbor, and I don't expect you to do much better.
I don't really care what you think.
That's
You've
why-
been complaining about everything since you moved in that house. Everybody knows you're a town crackpot.
And
so were you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Leo, you're not being recognized right now. You'll have a chance to speak after.
All right. My point is that you better make sure that he crosses his Ts and dots his Is. Otherwise, he's gonna go with the spirit. He'll go with the letter, but he won't go with the spirit.
Can I respond to him?
Thank you, Mr. Jones. There's a public hearing right now, so if you'd like to come up and make a comment, you are
Can I
welcome.
respond to him?
You're welcome to make a comment.
Yeah,
That was
everybody
on the
knows
agenda
you're a
tonight.
crap pot. You've been a crap
Now,
pot since you've been there.
Mr. Navilio, we're talking about the agenda, not personal attacks.
Well, I'm just
People
telling
make
you,
comments.
he's attacking me, and I just
didn't
want
call
him
you
to
a
go
crap
on
pot,
record
did
that
I?
he's a crap pot. If there's no raccoons living in that building.
There were.
A raccoon may have gone into the building. They certainly weren't living there. The feral
Thank you,
cats are
thank you,
different.
Mr.
Beside the
Navilio.
point.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Navilio. Are there any other public comments regarding the application? Okay, for the moment, I will leave the public hearing open as we continue our discussion in case we want to continue the back and forth. So I guess I'll just go back to the commissioners. Do we think of any more questions or comments that we want to ask of the applicant or the engineer or administrator?
I have if I may, I
Please.
just have after all the presentation and everything, there's just a couple of, things that I want to add and, hopefully it will be helpful to commissioners. So, Cardinal Engineering has been working with me on this project and, they've come a long way since the conceptual review. Ryan resubmitted, items and you'll notice in my report that I mentioned that there's a few items that are missing. But my intention was not to start this meeting on a negative note. There's a lot of positives about what has come from this resubmittal. Cardinal Engineering and Mr. Navilio and his architect have worked very hard on these plans. You can see that they've probably put a lot of money into them in coming here and showing us, these design standards for this development, which is great. Everyone drives by the corner of this property on a daily basis, and it's crucial that it be redeveloped. We can't let it remain in a dilapidated condition, but it is the Plan Commission's determination as to how it is redeveloped. And as we know, as we continue to redevelop our downtown area, it's very important to pay special care and attention to what the future of our downtown district will be. So the Plan Commission is going to dedicate a lot of time, care, and attention to this project. I know you will. But the project from the conceptual phase has advanced. The phase that they're in is called the general development plan. It's general. It's not meant to be 100% finalized. So I just do want to point that out. I've mentioned that there's a few things that I'm missing. They're fairly minor. One of the big items that we need to work out is engineering. We need to get that into a decent place so that we know that the engineering will work on the site. That's important, right? But other than that, everything else is general right now. The final phase is when you take a look at the final design of this project and recommend approval where the next week they could come and pull building permits. At this point right now in the phase we're in, I think it would be beneficial for Plan Commission to focus on big yeses and big nos at this point. As Ryan Cardinal stated, they would really appreciate some feedback on what they've presented tonight, because what they've presented tonight is final for them. This is what they are proposing. And so I think the developer needs to know at this point, yeses and nos on some of those variances. Once we get to that final phase of development, Plan Commission members will not have the opportunity to come back and say, I've decided that at this meeting, I don't like the height anymore, and we need to reduce the height. now is your time and opportunity to discuss those variances from the village center district requirements and give the developer and the property owner an answer on those. So the height, the setback variances, the design variances, those are the big items that they need feedback on, and that you'll be voting on as part of the general development plan so that they can move forward and finalize their plan, if that makes sense.
Just to be clear, Allison, the motion for tonight, because I know you said the PDO is a step of the GDP. Is it two motions then, PDO and GDP, or just GDP?
Just GDP.
Just GDP, and that the PDO is included in that presumption. Okay, so I want to make sure I have that clear. So with that, I guess, please, Commissioner Gage?
No, I just
Oh.
breathe.
Oh, right. No, sorry. It's a gasp, so like.
Should I?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Allison, thank you. I'm not over speaking, Tony, but I think we would be absolutely fine with if you decided to table it.
Tony would be
Tony wants,
fine.
Tony's not, he wants a decision.
I want a decision, one way or the other, up or down.
So.
Sounds like we had some misunderstandings between staff. I was wanting to.
Yeah.
To coordinate those out, but.
Excuse me, I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Well, I mean, on your vote tonight is the answers to the variances, and that's what Mr. DeVille was looking for. Yeah, so, thank you.
And before you vote, I just want to apologize for my outburst earlier, not with him, but with him. Just, before you vote, you know, I'll be 80 on my next birthday, and I'm an Italian, and I speak my piece. And sometimes people get ticked off at me.
If I may, can I ask a clarifying question to you, Doug? So I understand that the issues that you outlined in your report and you just spoke to now that you feel are missing from the engineering for the GDP. But you did suggest that a contingent approval could be possible of the GDP with the understanding that this may very well just get shot down by engineering between the GDP and FDP. It'd just be a hard no at that point.
Wait, after it's voted on, it could get shot down by him?
That's what I'm saying. There are engineering items that you did not include in your application. Please let me speak before you respond. You did not include in your application that would render it, based on our village staff, incomplete. Now, there is a potential, was what I'm trying to clarify with Doug, that we could potentially approve the GDP contingent on those engineering issues being addressed before an FDP. But I believe the point that our village engineer is trying to make, because I think, again, your intention of not providing those engineering analyses at this point is that you don't want to spend the money on that and then hear a no here based on some of the variances. And again, let me finish. So, but we're saying, what the village engineering is saying is that when those engineering assessments are done, if the GDP is approved tonight, it could just be a hard no from engineering saying, no, this isn't feasible anymore. And then it's dead, it dies then. So.
Commissioner, you have a question?
All right, I address who talks, okay? So I'm gonna finish my point right now.
Okay.
Did you want to respond to the
Well,
point I made?
I'm not exactly clear. He mentioned soil borings, contamination. Yeah, we know we have to do soil borings and contamination. We have a report from the DNR that's this thick that Ryan has. We have photographs of them doing remediation on the corner where there was right on that corner right there. So we know that has to be done, and that could, if it's a contaminated spot, he could put a kibosh whether he brings it to attention or whether it's reality. So he didn't look at the stormwater management. It's been done. You know, I mean, he's looking at stuff from January and it's July, so it's 7 months later, and there's been a whole slew of things that over and over again that have been given to Ellison. The fact that he didn't do this is
you know, yeah, I understand that there's more hurdles to jump, okay? I'm just saying that, you know, I want to do those hurdles after the vote, okay? After the vote.
Yes, Commissioner Freeberg.
The question I want is, if those things are approved tonight, they're not available tonight, what if they turn out before, if we approve this section tonight, and before the finish one is, they're not approved by Doug, this project doesn't go forward, correct?
Right, correct. So it's at the commission's discretion on if they want to move forward with a conditional approval contingent upon engineering items being worked out before and during the FDP process. I think where Doug's coming from is he was missing components to be able to determine if he could actually say yes to this project, and if the engineering worked. He's just looking out for the applicant, ensuring that there's not a risk that we get down this road so far and then it's held up all because of engineering. And he's here, so I'm not gonna speak for him, but.
Yeah, and Doug has his hand up, so please, Doug.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I don't like right now.
Please.
Number one, that center island between the buildings, because you won't get emergency vehicles in there. And I want delivery trucks to use that and not park in Walworth Avenue to unload their trucks, like what happens with the Green Grocer. So I want them to delivery truck to actually take that center island out, make it so a delivery truck can stop in there and park, and everybody inside of that can drive around the delivery truck, and they can still deliver to those commercial areas. The third thing, or the next thing is stormwater management. Right now, you've got nothing but pavement and roof, and it's gonna all come out into Walworth Avenue because there's no storm sewer that they can connect to there. So I would ask that they be willing to put on-site storage in, and it's gonna cost them a bloody fortune, but as part of, if you move it forward, that they're gonna do it. They're not gonna argue with me. They're gonna meet the ordinance for stormwater, and if they wanna move it forward, it's gonna have to happen that way. And the last thing is I think you need to get the fire department looking at it. You know, they got 2 cars deep in a garage, 1 electric vehicle fire is all you need, and this whole development will be gone. They can't even get in there to get access to pull those vehicles out, to get them out from under the building. So I would like you to have emergency, your fire chief, look at this stuff for access.
Can I answer a couple of those things? So you want less parking first?
Just a moment, Tony. I did have a hand from Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, please.
Yeah, Frank, I would like to speak.
Can we just keep the crosstalk?
Is this proposal higher than the Green Grocer? And if it is, why are we letting it forward when we wouldn't let Green Grocer go that high?
You're requesting conditional use for the height to be higher, to answer your question, yes.
Well, we didn't let Green Grocer, so why you let them?
That's my knowledge, they did not ask.
I don't think they asked for a height variance, that's correct.
Okay,
yes.
Let me
Mr.
answer.
Vilio.
All right, so Doug wants us to have less parking, so instead of a 3-car garage, we'll make a 1-car or 2-car garage.
No.
Okay, no, yes, you did. Number 2.
Mr. Vilio, now he said.
Yeah. He says he says that they wouldn't be able to get in there because there's 3 cars in there.
He said he's concerned that they may not be able to get in there, wants the fire department to assess.
All right, you're splitting hairs here.
Well,
Number
not.
2 is,
Again,
we.
it's literally logic. It's literally logic. If I say something, someone claims something is true, and I say, I don't agree with your claim, it's true, I'm not saying that it's patently false. I'm saying it's unknown whether it's true or false.
Where's Ryan? Ryan, can the emergency vehicles get through our auto court or not?
We've been coordinating with the inspector. The chief didn't want to look at it. The inspector, we've been coordinating about turn radiuses, ladders. So the design hadn't been done for the garages, so we'd be happy to coordinate that. That's more of a final design. We will coordinate that for the final parking layout.
And isn't this Ryan, isn't the open spaces on this plan for, stormwater, isn't it less than the building that's there now?
Total green space is more now than.
More green space now than it is existing. Okay, so he's wrong on 3 of them. I forgot the 4th one. You know, I'm not here to debate him, but I don't really think he's ever been reasonable on this project. Okay, I mean, I just as evidence of what he just said here.
So the question before the commissioners is, I think as Allison best said it, is that we should work and just decide among us right now if we are okay with these 3 big variance asks. And if not, then this is gonna be a vote down no, or if yes, then we're gonna potentially vote for yes with some conditions. So I guess I think the big one is probably the height.
I don't know that, I'm not ready to vote.
Okay.
I understand Allison's support for the project, she's been very positive, but she's not making the vote. And I would hate to make it up and down right now.
Yeah, and I agree.
We just got this on
Yeah,
Thursday.
We're missing a lot of stuff and it can go down really quickly.
And
So,
this is more important than it sounds. We just had a experience about where we thought we understood, or we thought, I can't tell you how lovely this is.
yeah,
And I wish I knew in my own mind that it would fit the way I'm visualizing it. I think it will fit, but I'm not sure the way I visualize it. It looks as if there's far more space here than I know there is because I haven't walked it. I isn't that I don't like the plan. I think it has great merit, but
We submitted this plan months ago, 5 months ago.
I don't care.
Okay.
I got it. Please.
Commissioner Robbins, please.
so I like this a lot better than what we saw in January. And I'm one of the most important pieces of property that I care about in Williams Bay. Revitalizing our downtown, there's nothing more important to me. I'm in favor of your development in some form of this, but I'm not in favor of voting on something that we're missing critical information.
But can we give some ideals of what we agree with? And what
I don't
we
think that I want to get into that tonight. I'm not up for 47 feet, I can tell you that right now. That's a lot. 0 lot line, I might be able to work with that.
Well, can I address him?
I think that-
Just a moment, so I may hear from the rest of the commissioners,
I
please.
do think that feedback is consistent with the conceptual review. I mean, at the conceptual review level, I think plan commission members were most concerned about the proposed height. And the applicant did know that, and they chose to proceed forward with that. So that's important for the applicant to know, that if you're not okay with that, that's good for them to know that could impact this project. But I do agree, and I think, Ryan Cardinal when he came up, he was probably going to state that he's more than okay with us tabling it so that we can work through these items and inch closer and closer to approval. If we recommend denial, Mr. DeVillio needs to restart. It's a new application, it's a new process.
I'm all aware of
It's a
that.
new fee.
Right.
So I think tabling it would be in everyone's best interest, so that we can continue to work with the applicant and inch towards approval.
But I think it would be appropriate for us to provide some input, some feedback.
Exactly.
Yeah, so,
And along with Commissioner Robbins, I have a concern with 47 feet. I understand the value of the lake view, but 47 feet is 47 feet, but it's at 47 feet in comparison to the buildings around it. And particularly in comparison to the Green Grocer building that we just approved and was just constructed. It is a full story or 2 stories taller than that. So I have a concern with the height. Understand the market value of lake views and want to respect the ability to achieve that. We were set back at 0. I'm okay with that, assuming we can get a structural engineering sign off that the wall will stand the pressure of the uphill dirt. My biggest concern, I guess, and I'm okay with the intensity on the commercial residential ratio. My biggest concern is stormwater.
The properties at the bottom of a fairly steep hill. There's a lot of impervious surface. And I'm not ready to approve something until I see a stormwater design that says that the stormwater isn't gonna end up flooding the people downstream. That's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you. Either of the commissioners on this end want to make a?
I agree with them. I also about the entrance to the, of course, we don't, the bump outs are gone, but I mean, can a truck get down there? Can a delivery truck get down there to the deliver? Because again, we can't do it on the street, so can they get down there? I don't-
Well, that's the other item that he brought up.
Right.
Okay, these are little shops. This isn't the greengrocer or anything. These are little shops. There's no semi from Gordon Food Services to come to deliver to an insurance office or a dentist office or a little clothing store. There's no big giant semis coming in.
Box truck, and can a box truck
Well,
get
the
down?
box trucks come to every single house in America. I mean,
We-
you know,
we
they
did-
deliver it and they get out.
We did provide a turning motion radius of a box truck, so your Amazons, your FedEx, your UPS trucks can get in and out there. However, I'm happy to continue to keep coordinating with fire and Doug and get it the way that works for everybody. But it, like Tony said, this is we're not looking for semi truck deliveries. It's box truck, Amazon, UPS, FedEx.
Fire trucks would be a bigger concern.
I understand.
Yeah, we'll continue to coordinate with them.
I understand the height, okay? But if you take away the height and the views of the lake, somebody will build something there, all right? It will not be me. It will not be this plan. I will not spend one more dime. That's why I'd rather you vote now and kind of sign off on the 47 feet on this plan so that I could walk out of here tomorrow and put a new for sale sign up on the property, okay? I had one up there just because, people were always inquiring, but there's no way that I'm going to move forward or spend a red dime or deal with the people that I need to deal with in order to get this through, including my architect and my engineer. And so I just prefer you give a up or down vote right now. Maggie, you said you're not, and Mrs. Gage, you're not ready to vote. Well, you then vote no on it, okay? That's all I can say. Just vote no on it. Somebody make a motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Antonio. Are any other commissioners want to make any questions, statements?
I guess if I can add to my previous comments, I have a concern with the wall that faces the frosty roofs. It's a lot of wall. Straight up and down, including it even includes the wall for the roof structure. And then I guess some concern about the sidewalk that goes along the south side of the property that abuts residential property. I'm not sure that's an architecturally appropriate or zoning appropriate separation between the properties. Okay, that's it.
Anyone else? No. I'll just state, Mr. Novilio, I think the three big asks in your proposal, I'm probably the most willing to accommodate, including the height. But it's not up to me solely. I think this lot needs something absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm willing to bend on even like the height there. But if you're requesting an up or down vote tonight, and you're telling people that don't feel they're informed to vote no, you're probably gonna get a no from us tonight.
Well,
there is an option to table this and to continue to work with the engineer to get that stormwater abatement system set up. Some of this working and moving along forward to the next meeting.
I guess,
So,
height is always gonna be an issue.
Yeah, I just.
And so, I mean.
Yeah.
Are we gonna change, do you see a change of the height? I mean, I agree with you. I mean, something needs to be built there. And I have no problem with the height restriction myself. But if everyone else does, I mean, I can't see encouraging someone to go forward something if it's never gonna pass.
I don't think that not deciding tonight means it isn't gonna pass. And I also don't think it's necessary to be backed in the corner. I started out by saying, I thought if I could take this development right now and plunk it down without any further review and let it pass, that would be not a good way to do it. Obviously, I expect that your engineer and your architect would expect some adjustment from us. Not ideally, but maybe necessarily. I'm sorry Mr. Novello wants it up or down. I think it's a great plan for that spot, but I'm not gonna vote tonight because I'm threatened with a no vote.
Oh, no, I'm not saying we should.
I mean,
I'm not saying we should vote tonight up or down. What I'm saying is that, is there any chance of after looking at everything, anticipating, that some people are so against the height already?
I don't, but I don't know how all of us are.
Well, that's why, yeah,
But I
that's the point.
I don't know that tonight is the point. I'd be more comfortable tabling it and noodling it over and seeing what other things need.
And maybe even having a discussion amongst us about it.
I agree with her. Table it. Table it. She won me over. You want me over, but I just want to make it clear that the items that he's asking will come, like the stormwater management, the soil contamination, that will come after the vote, not before the vote. If that's not the case, pardon?
Not gonna get my vote without a stormwater management plan.
All right.
Then I'm confused, yeah, is it for tabling, or only just allowing the
How
commissioners to
far,
read it over again?
how far away are we from this?
Maybe just ask a question, let's put the project to the side. I believe the PDO process is at GDP level, we have a level of understanding of what the stormwater is, not 100% design, because that then comes at the final. So if we were at the GDP level, if Doug's not a level of comfortable, then I need to get him there, but I don't believe GDP is to be 100% design on stormwater, because to your point, things change from the GDP to the final. So there isn't, we normally don't go 100% final on stormwater, but it sounds like.
I just need to make sure it's gonna work. Show me enough to convince me it's gonna work.
Convince is subjective, but we need to get on the same page for the GDP level. So if I understand correctly, if this were to come back for GDP, we're going to be at a level of mutual understanding, not 100%. And I just want to make sure that we're on the same page in that regard, because that's the way the ordinance reads.
I have just a question procedurally that I think is for both. The open hearing is still, the public hearing is still open right now. Do we leave that open until the next meeting, or do we close it and have another, or does this just constitute the entire public? I believe there's like a 60-day period.
I would recommend that you carry the public hearing over and leave it open if you are going to recommend tabling this evening. And then that can be carried over to the following meeting.
Okay,
You want a motion?
I'll take a motion, sure.
I move that the issue of the matter of the zoning map amendment planned development overlay be tabled until the next, till the, this is July, August plan commission meeting.
I'll second.
There's a first and a second on the motion to table the application until the next plan commission meeting. Is there any discussion on the motion?
And we're not closing the.
Just so that we don't start that 60-day clock and then
Right.
we'll allow more public hearings at the next
So
meeting.
as long as it's staying open.
So this might be top of the agenda then in August, so that we can close that.
It'd be nice if we had some more than we did last night.
Well, you have all this stuff here now, and we're gonna get everything to you faster. I agree, the timing was very, very awkward. And then I had no power for about 48 hours, so that was hard to get this stuff.
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion before us to table. Is there any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? All right, that motion carries. Chair will look for a motion to adjourn.
I so moved.
I got a motion and a second. You would or anything? All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. We are
I'm gonna
adjourned.
get a new license plate called Frank.
Sorry, everyone, that. Yeah, it was 54 hours.
I'm very sorry.
Thankfully, my fridge was like already. I had a